Welcome, everybody, to the Geek Matrix DC Comics Review Show, episode number 250.
248.
Fuck. I thought we were in the two. No, we're not in the 250s yet. That's coming up. Shit. Yeah, that's a big number. That's coming up. 248.
Yep.
We're at
One,
248.
one of them's round even.
Exactly. It's, some would argue all three of them are round in places. If you think about it.
That's beside the point.
Is it though? And that it is, because we're here to talk DC Comics this week and every week. And this week is no difference. Yes, episode 248. We have a slew of books ahead of us, and I haven't even opened Discord yet to look at our list. Oh shit, I am just fucking behind right now. But no, we have a lot. We have about 7 books right now, including a new number 1 with Mr. Terrific Year 1. And spoiler, it's terrific. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun this show. I am Rob, and joining me as always are my wonderful co-hosts, Josh.
That's this one.
That's that one. And Brandon.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Over there.
Excuse me. Yeah, so how you guys doing?
Doing all right. A little under the weather, but
Doing okay, I suppose.
yeah.
How are you feeling under the weather?
Well, yeah. I don't know. My immune system has just failed this year. I was really hoping I wouldn't get sick as often, and this is like the second or third time I've been sick since January, which is not good. But no. Other than
That's not
that,
ideal.
doing all right.
Right on. Right, so normally we have an absolute show that we do after our regular show today, but it's been a busy week and a lot of books, with just a total of 11 books, if I remember correctly, or 13.
13.
13 books total. So we're going to be postponing the absolute show until a later time, most likely tomorrow, if not Saturday. So stay tuned for that, because there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about on that show. All right, but yeah, I was going to say first off, we got the main books, but we're not getting into those books yet because there's some news to talk about. Pretty big things happened this past week. I'm going to start off with the funny good news that late last week, I believe Friday or Saturday, one Mark Miller tweeted out, or posted on Instagram rather, a cryptic image with a 5 in the shape of a Superman logo, and teased that it's got some pretty big news coming. And then the next day, it was a number 4, but it was a Fantastic Four logo, with the story accompanying it that sometime late last year, he was approached by both Marvel and DC at separate times to write separate books, big name stories. One being, I think it was a Superman title, and then Marvel wanted him to do a summer crossover. But he was swamped with his Netflix contract and Miller World stuff. But he carved out 12 weeks to work on a special project, and he's going to tell us all about it this past Tuesday. Well, the internet went abuzz, and everybody's thinking that the long awaited and teased, hinted at intercompany crossover between Marvel and DC is going to be written by Mark Miller. And he even says that it's going to feature a longtime artist that he's worked with and hasn't worked with in a long time, which on Sunday he revealed was John Romita Jr. That's when I was at DEF CON 5. I just, no, please no. But then that same day, he also said that the project he has coming is neither about Marvel or DC. And then Tuesday happened and revealed it was about a book that he's kickstarting with John Romita Jr. So that was a sigh of relief, in my opinion. And if you want to know more about that, check out his socials. If you care about Mark Miller, Miller World stuff, and you actually like John Romita Jr.'s art for some reason, go check it out. Check out his socials. I don't remember the name of the book. I'm not going to plug it right now because there's more important things at hand. Because that same day, Marvel and DC had a press release stating their actual intercompany crossover. And dear listeners, it's juicy. It's not an in-universe. It's not, sorry, not a universe-wide crossover. I mean to say, not like the last couple, but it is harkening back to the old days of the intercompany crossovers with one-on-one meetups. They will be featuring 2 one-shots, one from Marvel, one from DC, featuring the same characters: Batman Deadpool and Deadpool Batman. And the juiciest part is the creative teams attached to these books. On the Marvel
Give it
side,
to me, baby.
on the Marvel side, we have written. I can't believe I'm going to say it. Written by Zeb Wells and
Written
drawn
by Zeb
by Greg
Wells.
Capullo, which is a
Yeah,
team
buddy.
I never thought I'd see.
Nope, but I'm okay with it.
They're doing Deadpool Batman. And DC, with Batman Deadpool, will be written by Grant Morrison with art from Dan Mora. And I am excited for 75% of those names.
Not a Zeb Wells fan, right?
No.
that sounds about right.
Not in the slightest. Any other person that read Amazing Spider-Man over the past 5 years is also not a Zeb Wells fan. If you
Oh
are
my
still,
God,
and you did,
I
then you're a
was just
masochist. I don't know what to
confusing
tell you.
Zeb Wells with Jed McKay.
No. Jed McKay's not that bad, in my opinion. There's some misses here and there, but like,
That's why I was like, he's. But then, okay, Zeb Wells is not Jed McKay.
no.
I got him confused.
Yeah,
Zeb, Jed. I mean, they're pretty close.
I guess. So yeah, Zeb Wells writing Deadpool Batman. I don't know how to feel about that. Zeb Wells on Batman is going to be very interesting, but he's joined by Greg freaking Capullo doing Batman again, which I'm all
yeah,
for.
it's a steal.
It's
Hell yeah.
fantastic. Then we got teases of cover art for both books. Very similar covers. They feature both Batman and Deadpool jumping through the sky and surrounded by like orange smoke or whatever. But drawn obviously stylistically different compared to Dan Moore and Greg Capullo. Both look fantastic. The actual costume designs look very similar, if not the exact same, between Mora and Capullo. So it looks like they are working in tandem about these crossover books, these one-shots. And that's really good to see, that they're not just like, okay, you do one, we'll do one, and we'll let it slide. No, they're just like, let's work together on this 100%, and I'm all for that. It remains to be seen if these 2 one-shots will be connected at all, or if they're just going to be one-shots in the respective universes or whatever. Who knows? I think it would be cool to have them connected. Like, they're one-shots, but one of them's part 1 of 2 and one's part 2 of 2. We'll have to see. But that's not all, dear listener, because at the end of that press release, they did tease that there will be more crossovers coming in 2026. So if you were waiting for news of these crossovers, and you hear Batman, Deadpool, and Deadpool, Batman, and you're like, oh, fuck, of course, more Batman, more Deadpool. Fear not, intrepid listener, because there's more on the
Because Spider-Man
more
Sideways
characters.
could be coming soon.
It could be. It could fucking be. It could fucking be.
Sideways even got mentioned in this week's books. Not
Did?
in a positive light, albeit, but
Don't remember
he was
that.
mentioned.
You'll have to refresh my memory because I don't remember.
It was
that.
in Justice League Unlimited.
Shit, eh?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't remember that. I'm excited to hear it because I
No, you're
love
not.
Sideways.
Trust me.
Oh yeah, you said it's not in a positive light. No.
Not a positive thing, no.
Great. Okay. Well, that's not good. Yeah, it's gonna. These other crossovers in 2026 will feature different characters. It's not going to be more one shots of Batman and Deadpool. The 2 one shots that we are getting with Batman and Deadpool will feature backup stories with other creative teams, if I remember correctly, that they have not listed or mentioned. That will feature various other characters between Marvel and DC. So there's a lot to come, basically, and it looks like they're not going to be slowing down anytime. This is just the beginning. These books are dropping in September. There's going to be a lot more next year, and if they're just doing these like one-shot crossovers, I'm all for it. I don't think we need a big, wide intercompany, like universe spanning crossover as much as I would love to see Secret Crisis. The more I think about it, they've done it twice now. There's only so many ways you can tell that story, right? I'm sure somebody could find a third, but I wouldn't mind seeing just like these little one-on-one interactions. I think they're pretty fucking cool. What do you guys think?
I'm down for either or as long as they're good stories. I don't care.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
I never once believed the forecast from Jeff Johns, but
I
you know,
never stopped believing.
you clung to that shit desperately,
I'm still clinging.
well, like Rose to that door floating off the Titanic,
Like somebody on a tree during a tornado.
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't think it was coming. I'm glad that we've got something like this. Batman and Deadpool's an unusual team up, and that's what has me interested more than just if it would have been, somebody a little bit more along his exact thing. Whereas,
Yeah.
like Deadpool and Deathstroke, if they would have paired them up with things more like that, then
Yeah. Wade and
probably
Slade,
a
that
little
would've been
bit
perfect.
more boring. But this works.
I don't know.
No.
I think that would be pretty interesting. The two of them take on the same assassination contract, and Slade is trying to do things efficiently, and Deadpool keeps getting in his way and being hilarious at the same time. Like, I know a guy like you. He had a metal arm and a laser eye, and he was really annoying too.
His name
I
was
don't know. I
Cable,
could
and I
work.
never got anything free. Uh,
Brandon, do you have any hopes for these future crossovers?
Um, I just hope the first one does well enough that they're inspired to keep doing more. But I agree. I hope they keep it relatively contained for now.
Yeah.
And are not eager to jump and do a crazy epic crossover. I think what made the original crossovers in the 90s work was that they were like the spirit of the crossover in every sense of the word was all right, you guys are going to do your version and we're going to do our version. And the joy of the fans is we get to see, Mark Bagley draw Batman for the first time, which is awesome, or Graham Nolan draw Spider Man
Yeah.
for the first time. Like it is a art and writing crossover, as I said, in every sense of the word. So
Mhm.
what's exciting for me is hopefully it will have a lot of the artists, because at this point a lot of DC and Marvel artists are not necessarily exclusive. They do work at both companies, so it's hard
Yeah.
to find someone who's just working at one company these days. But it's exciting to see who might be able to reach across the aisle and do a character from the other team in a way that maybe you weren't expecting. So I think there's a lot of potential for that, and I hope if they just focus on these single character crossovers or team crossovers, it could be something really special. Um, yeah, and
like maybe a permanent trade of Tom King for Jonathan
sure,
Hickman.
yeah. And I
I don't know if
it's
Hickman
funny
will
because
ever
I
leave
had
Marvel.
forgotten that the Mark Miller news came out that same day, but I couldn't
Yeah.
help but notice that I don't know, the optics of that are very funny.
Yeah.
In that Mark Miller drums up a lot of hype around something that may or may not be a crossover and then reveals a Kickstarter, and then literally hours later Grant Morrison reveals that they're working on this big intercompany crossover. And if you know anything about the history between those two, you can't look at that and say, I wonder if there's something there. Although I
Yeah.
was
Nope,
at the
nope.
Grant Morrison book signing 2 years ago, and he seemed to have had nothing but kind things to say about Mark Miller, so maybe the beef
Oh,
is
maybe it's
squashed.
changed. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Mark Miller found out about it and then used that info to launch his fucking Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It's most definitely.
Yeah.
Most
Or
definitely.
it could be that they were both taking the piss on all of us. Like, maybe they're friends now,
That
and
could have been
Grant
that too.
texted him and he was like, "Hey, the announcement's coming out on Thursday or whatever it was." And Mark's like, "Well, now's the time. Better
Yeah.
hype it up, and we'll make everyone think that I'm gonna do it when it's actually you." I could totally see them doing some shenanigans like that.
I did recently
Shenanigans.
see a quote from Grant Morrison about Mark Miller when all this news was happening about Mark potentially being the crossover writer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll sum up by saying he went along the lines of somebody asking him, "Could you ever run into Mark Miller in Glasgow?" And I said, "Yes, I think you can run into him, and I hope somebody does very hard, very fast with a car."
This was recently, you said?
I don't know. It was a screenshot of text
Interesting.
that I saw on our Fantastic Four Reddit thread.
Oh yeah, because yeah, that sounds like a quote from like 20 years ago or something.
Yeah,
When he was
I
like,
meant to
yeah,
look up what the interview could have been. I just
yeah. And I
forgot.
don't remember something about a car, but I do remember him saying like I could run into him, but I hope I'm running like 50 miles in the other direction or something like that. But then, mind you, this is like after the whole scandal with the Authority and the Ultimates was getting big, and
Right.
you know, rightfully upset about some stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, no matter what the behind the scenes are, everybody's excited about one bit of news, and other people are not really paying attention to the other. So,
Mm.
one thing I hope to see, and it's going to be a bit of a bittersweet hope. I do hope that next year's crossovers can include the Hulk and Aquaman, which I think would be a very cool pairing. And that is bittersweet, folks, because we lost a legendary creator last week as well. In Peter David,
Yes.
unfortunately passed away. I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what his age is, but he was in his 60s, and I think that's very young for a comic creator. It's a damn shame. He created so many great stories and great moments. Um, Anybody that's been reading comics for longer than 10, 20 years has a Peter David story that they fell in love with. Um, Medical bills just crept up and piled on, and he just succumbed to his illness. And now the family has a GoFundMe for funeral costs and to help finish paying off medical debt. So be sure to check that out. Google it online. If you have the means, please donate to that family. He's a man that has a soft spot, I think, in every comic fan's hearts, whether they know it or not. Damn shame to see Peter David go, but rest in peace,
Hmm.
good sir, you king.
Yeah, yeah, that was a bitter one to swallow.
Yeah, yeah, that one was a hard one.
Mm. I think mostly because, like, a lot of us knew it was coming. Peter David's had health problems longer than I've been alive, which should give
Yeah,
you some kind of indication of how ongoing the struggle had been. But, like, even me was relatively recent in comics, coming in weekly, circa like 2015, was aware of the ongoing stuff where it seemed like every year or two there was something about him going to the hospital or having to crowdfund to pay for hospital bills, which is another scathing indictment of our fucking horrible healthcare system. But I'm not going to go into that. But
yeah,
yeah, it was unfortunate because I think like anyone who'd seen him within the last 2 years, I want to say, knew that it was coming. So it was really sad to see it, but I just kind of had to swallow that one and be like, well, I'm glad he's not suffering anymore, you know?
yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
That is very true.
It's the
Yeah,
right
to your
man.
point. Yeah, everyone has read something from Peter David that has stuck with them, and there's too many to name, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And those that might not know, I specifically mentioned um, Hulk and Aquaman because those are two books two characters that he wrote in the '90s that are just fan favorite runs.
Yeah, I'd say that. Well, there's like I almost want to say a trifecta, but it's not really. It's like a what's the version of that, but with four or maybe even five, because the four most iconic I would say would probably be X Factor, Incredible Hulk, Aquaman, and Jesus. Now it's like six, because then I was thinking, well, Spider-Man 2099 is up there, and there's also Young Justice.
Triumvirate?
So maybe it's more like seven. I don't know. Like I said, it's too many to name, and these are just in the '90s. Like, name a creator that has had that many hits all at once. It's remarkable.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad it happened in the 90s.
Yeah.
Probably be doing a little bit better if it happened right now.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not going to go into
Maybe.
that, but no.
But anyway.
I don't think so. Yeah, because a book like Young Justice would not have survived now, where in
Oh, yeah, that's true.
1998,
That is
that
very,
book was
very,
able to run
very
for
true.
I think 50 issues, which is an achievement. Like,
Yeah.
Well, how about I just
Immortal
wish
Hulk
everybody
ran
had
for
good pay
50
and healthcare.
issues. And I'm like, the fact that a Hulk run now is comparable to a sidekick book, and keep in mind these are all relatively new sidekicks, is astonishing and should be a clear sign of just how well received the writing on that book was.
Yeah. The time was also very different back then, where books would run a lot longer. Right? You'd have like your 6, 12 issue minis. You'd have your books that got canceled prematurely, but the market wasn't oversaturated as it is now, and you could have a book like Young Justice easily go 50 to 100 issues just because there was space on the stands and people enjoyed it.
That's true. And there's also you have to factor
Excuse
in
me.
that despite the comic bubble bursting in 1995 or 1996, like that mid 90s period, DC did get an upswing after Grant Morrison started JLA, and there were more eyes on the line, so they were able to launch a lot of books that spun out of JLA, which is how you end up with like Martian Manhunter and Titans and Young Justice, all of which were able to run for a decent period of time. So
Yeah. Martian Manhunter. Well, I haven't read the whole thing yet from that time period. Fantastic fucking book. At least the
yeah,
issues
no,
I've
I
read.
was very fortunate to. There was a sale at the comic store second nearest to me, and was able to pick up basically the first 25 issues. I don't think I sent you guys a picture.
Oh, shit.
I don't know that you would care, but
I would definitely care if it was Martian Manhunter.
But yeah, no, I mean that is an excellent run, definitely worthy of reading. Very difficult to collect, considering DC just kind of gave up on it after issue 24 or something. There are only 2 volumes that were collected, but I'm sure there'll be an omnibus in the near future,
I hope
especially
so.
considering they just put out the Spectre by John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake omnibus, so that gives me full confidence that the Martian Manhunter one will come soon, just so they can kind of knock it off. It's only 36 issues; it wouldn't take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But
I need to get
I'm
that
getting off
Spectre
topic.
omnibus as well.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
Yeah. That is one part of Hal Jordan's history I never got around to reading, and I really
Well,
should
that
check it out.
the Spectre omnibus that I'm talking about is the one right before that, so that's still
Oh, okay. Before
Jim
Dave Judgment.
Corrigan. But the Spectre run that you're talking about, the J.M. DeMatteis, Hal Jordan run from 2001, still has never been collected in anything ever.
shit.
And that is a run that I think probably will get the omnibus treatment at some point. It's really just a
hope
matter
so.
of when. But I think to save face and not pump out 6 different trade paperbacks, that's probably going to be published all in one big chunk,
Yeah.
which would be relatively easy because I think it's only 27 issues, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. That looks like a hell of a book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal read. It goes into some nice lore of the Jordan history, which kind of hasn't really been acknowledged post Green Lantern Rebirth. But it's another one worth checking out if you're interested.
Definitely. All right. That is about all the news I have. that I can remember.
I went to Walmart.
Oh, today?
No,
Oh,
yesterday.
oh okay.
And I was looking for a $10 pair of computer speakers
Fair
because
enough.
the monitor that I just got didn't come with any.
Oh, what? Okay, that's dumb.
All right.
All right.
And I went to the toy section of Walmart, and that's when
As
I
you
found
should.
out that there's no McFarlane toys in the toy section at Walmart anymore.
It seems to be hit or miss. I'm reading online.
It
Um,
has moved,
oh,
everybody. They are in the collectors area in
what?
the electronics department of your Walmart. Go there. I went to the other Walmart. It had it in both locations. So even if you're finding your figures in the toy aisle, also go look in collectible figurines in the electronics, where you find your movie ones and your specialized Ninja Turtle ones and Hannibal Lecter and stuff like that.
Interesting.
But I said all that to say that I couldn't believe what I found in the electronic section.
Oh, is that Paige?
It is.
Damn. You
Who's
lucky
Speedy?
dog.
Oh my God! I didn't have money for it. I really did, but I looked at Holly. She was there, and I said,
Yes.
I don't have a choice, baby. I am so sorry." This is one of the figures that I never thought I would get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I didn't think I'd get that Supergirl, Midnighter, or oh my God, I'm completely blanking on the fourth one. Oh, Lobo Space Hog.
Wait, did you get Lobo Space Hog?
No,
Oh.
no. Power Girl's the only one on that
Oh,
list
okay.
that I just thought it was done.
Yeah.
Killing Joke Joker needs to be put on the list too because apparently it's never ever coming around.
Well,
Um,
I was telling you the other day, like apparently, like it's shown up in Canada,
well,
and what I was seeing online is that there's a new shipment going to America.
well, there's not one coming
Yet.
here.
Yet.
I mean, maybe I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's disappointing.
Yeah.
Regardless, anyway, we're not here to talk about that or how sad this is. Other than I got Paige and Speedy, and that's cool. Wait, that's her name. That's the cat's name, right?
Streaky.
Streaky. I said Speedy. Jesus. When I was reading the Flash book earlier, and writing my review, I wrote down the dog's name is Cosmo. I think I've been getting them getting our pets and sidekicks mixed up. But anyway, all right. Blah blah blah. I got her and carry on.
Right on. Yeah, that's about all I've got. Brandon, you got anything? Anything to talk about?
Nothing that wasn't already discussed. There's a preview for the Imperial book by Jonathan Hickman that I just saw on some website or something. So that's out next week, I think. Should be pretty interesting.
What's the
Sweet. I didn't think that was coming till the summer.
what's
yeah,
Imperial?
No, I like. Well, actually, I mean, check your calendar. Next week is June. I didn't mean that in a condescending way. I just
Jesus. No, I
like,
know. Like
I
time's
literally
flying.
I had the same reaction that you did, where I was like, oh my god, it's June next week. But
Yeah.
but
I
no,
was thinking it was
to-
like July or August for that book.
yeah. To answer your question, Josh, Imperial is an event is kind of doing it a disservice, but let's just say, for all intents and purposes, it is a setup event that will seemingly lead to other things, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by I want to say Bon Coelho and Federico Vincentini.
I
That's
believe you're
basically
right.
going to do for the Marvel Cosmic Universe what Invasion did 20 years ago, which is crazy to say. Um,
Right.
or I'm sorry, not Invasion, Annihilation.
Yeah.
Um, and basically just kind of shake things up, reinvigorate interest in Marvel Cosmic, and there will presumably be a bunch of books that will spin off of that four-issue series
John!
to lead into new stuff,
Fix
which will
it.
be interesting. But yeah, no, basically, I think
I
mostly
feel
due
like
to
they
the
did that
success.
with X-Men too, yeah.
Well, I would say it's more comparable to the Ultimate line currently because that was all spinning out of Ultimate Invasion, another four-issue series. This is essentially doing the same thing. Hopefully, if it is successful enough, it will lead to enough interest, and the books will kind of just be able to steer their own course. But this is just sort of a primer to get people interested again. So we'll see if it works. But yeah, that's out next week. I think there's a 6-page preview out somewhere. I just saw it on some
Sweet.
website. So
So, can you guys do me a favor?
Sure.
There's something I'd like to read.
Okay.
I'd like to check it out. The last thing that Hickman wrote that was shit. What is it?
I don't think such a thing exists.
I don't even know how to answer that question.
Like he's never like are there well okay maybe not shit but like every time I think of Hitman it's like these big stories and he always swings and fucking nails it out of the park, right?
Yeah.
So is like everything he does like that?
Yep.
Is
Yeah,
there
the Marvel
has he
side of
never
things,
done
yeah.
like a mediocre title?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I don't know. The most like lackluster thing I've read of recent times is maybe Wolverine Revenge, which just wasn't swinging for the fences. It was just an entirely inoffensive Wolverine story, ostensibly just to give Greg Capullo something awesome to draw.
Yeah.
But other than that, there doesn't seem to be any significant failures. Again, it all depends on who you ask. Some people will say that the larger works are boring or impersonal or whatever criticism they thought of. But if you're looking for something that is quote unquote bad, I don't personally I don't think it exists.
Yeah.
You don't
Except for
think it
maybe
exists? You know, I
transhuman
mean,
or
not that I dug into it too far, but I feel like the only real, or at least the one that I remember seeing, was just how deep the story was. That was it.
yeah.
I don't remember anybody complaining about it being shallow. Um, which I think if I had one or the other, I definitely want it deep. Um, anyway, I'm just yapping at this point.
Yeah,
That's
I
what we're
mean,
here
if you're
for.
looking for something that is less interesting, I don't know, maybe, like I said, transhuman or
Oh, nonsense!
God,
That was good shit.
God is Dead, which isn't really fair to say because I believe that was co-written with Mike Costa and he only did the first 6 issues.
Mike Costa.
Yeah, if you'd asked me like 5 years ago, I would have said Pax Romana. But I've reread that recently and it was incredible. I think I was not literate enough to appreciate it at the time. That's not fair to say. That sounds pretentious. I don't know. I don't think there are really anything like maybe there are ones that are not as good as others, but I don't think there's anything that's just straight terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And nothing I've read of his was ever bad.
Yeah.
Like there's parts of longer runs he's done that get a little more dull at times. Like there was parts of his Fantastic Four run that are like, all right, let's like pick up the pace a little bit, but
Yeah. Well,
there was never anything that was like
building, yeah.
bad. Yeah.
But the
You
funny
guys
thing
said
about
that
that
shit
is
about Taylor's Nightwing.
yeah, the funny thing about that is I know exactly what you're talking about because I can vividly remember like 2 or 3 issues, not counting the Impossible Man issue of that Fantastic Four run where I'm like what's happening here?
Yeah.
And
He's
hilariously, yeah, it was the issue where the spoilers for anyone who hasn't read that run, which is shocking, but it's the issue where the future Valyria comes back and visits Sue for the first time. And I remember reading that and being like, okay, what is the point of, like, I don't even, this feels like it isn't going anywhere. And it felt so irrelevant to everything that would come later, especially when the title transitioned to FF.
Yeah.
But my God, when you get to the reveal of Sue and the future Franklin coming back into the past,
Yeah.
and it's a callback to that issue, like that specific issue, just blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, Future
So,
Franklin and Future Valeria were actually maybe in my top three favorite moments from that entire run.
yeah. But that specifically that conversation between future Valeria and future Sue, I vividly remember being like, this is kind of
Yeah,
boring, or not. I'm
what's
not
what's
as
going on here?
invested in this as I was in the solve everything arc that opened everything.
Yeah,
And yeah, the
which
payoff for that
that's number
is,
two
yeah,
for
so
me.
worth it. So, yeah,
Yeah, I forget that that was the opening arc of his Fantastic Four run.
that sold me.
Yeah, like that's my number two in my top three of
Yeah.
favorite moments in the entire run is that panel of Reed saying, "I'm going to solve everything," and then it just blows up from there. The Council of the Reeds. He has to fight the army. Just like, oh my
I mean,
god.
the final moment in, like, I know this because I've read that run so many times. But that the final moment in issue 573 where Reed is remembering the speech that his father gave to him, and he's like, be a better husband, be a better father. And the final line is, be a better man.
Yeah,
Like, that is easily in my top 15 or 20 favorite comic moments that I've read of all time. Like that,
yeah,
that and the first issue of House of X are so closely intertwined for me in how I thought of Hickman and why it was such a like defining moment for me, because it had such an important impact on the rest of the story. But just get it, like that arc by itself, that solve everything arc, those 3 issues, you could read that and read nothing else of the run, and it would still be an incredible 3 issue arc. But it's the
yeah.
fact that it continues to build on that makes it so much better. So,
That was only 3 issues.
yeah,
I need to reread that because my god, that felt like 12.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like because really the what's fascinating about that run. Sorry, I don't want to go on a tangent again, but it really is just like basically just setting up the transition from whatever the hell Mark Miller had been doing with Fantastic
Yeah,
Four up to that point, and Civil War and everything, and taking account of that, and basically reintroducing this new version of Reed who wants to be better,
yeah,
right? And the whole run is built around that.
yeah,
Again, it's like I could go on about it for ages, but that 3 issue arc sets the tone for everything that is to come. So everything he does with the Future Foundation, everything that he does with trying to like build the future, set upon the future, all the themes of how much the rest of the Fantastic Four evolve with Johnny and Sue and even Ben is all teased in that first 3 issues.
yeah. And that whole thing is built Josh. That's disgusting. It's a stress ball, listeners. If you're not watching video, it's a stress ball. And the whole thing builds up as really like you said, like Reed becoming a better man and becoming a better character and building him back up. But
Mm.
throughout that arc, he also hits a lower point than he was already at. It brings him even further down to build him even further back up,
Yeah,
which was brilliant, I think.
which is very much the intention. Like the
Yeah.
idea is that at this point he's willing to do anything to solve everything,
Yeah.
except, and this is again, it's setting the tone of everything that is to come, except sacrifice his family. Like for all that he was willing to do, for everything that the council was able to do for the universes that they were solving with quotation marks, the one thing that Reed would not sacrifice, the thing that differentiated him from every other Reed in the council, was how much his family meant to him.
Yeah.
And you get to a point later in the run where Valeria is like, Dad, I think you made the wrong choice. Like, you should have gone with the council. You would have been more prepared for the Celestials when they came. But you see that Reed prioritizing his family is literally what saves the entire Fantastic Four in the world in the end. Because had he
Mhm.
not done that, there would have been no future um, Franklin or Valeria to come back in the past and save them. So it all
Exactly.
ties together in a very brilliant way.
It's just it was seriously brilliant.
Yeah,
My number one favorite moment is the death of Johnny Storm because that was just fucking iconic.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the return of Johnny Storm,
the
which that
return of Johnny Storm
whole
even better.
anniversary issue is brilliant. Like that, how
It's
Johnny
number six
survived and
hundred,
how
I
he,
think, right?
yeah, how he came back from the negative zone and was like
Yeah,
the king of the negative zone and all that stuff. Just
yeah.
brilliant, just brilliant.
And like you think when you read it, you're thinking, "Oh my god, he survived," and then you read like the backstory of what happened after the portal closed, and you're like, "Oh
Yeah,
shit, no, he definitely died.
yeah, no, he
He
definitely
died a
died.
lot."
But that's, I mean, that's another point of growth for Johnny too, where like,
Yeah,
you have that issue where he accidentally is tricked into momentarily opening the negative zone, and Reed's like, you kind of need to grow the hell up. Like, I understand that these things happen, but these shenanigans are past someone who is your age.
yeah,
And by him making that sacrifice and then coming back as the leader of the negative zone brings that whole arc full circle where Johnny
yeah.
is more mature than he had been previously. And I feel like for the most part that's carried on. Like Johnny still has some immature attributes, but you've never seen him be that juvenile in
Oh
recent
yeah,
times.
have you seen his most recent mustache?
Well, aesthetics aside, yeah, aesthetics aside, for the most part,
Yeah, no,
Ha-
yeah.
aesthetics aside, for
Have
sure.
you read Ryan Norris FF number 26, where him and Reed open a portal to hell?
Oh Lord. Well, actually, yeah. Maybe I'm. Clearly, I haven't been keeping up with the Fantastic Four as much, because
Oh god.
I guess he's not as mature as I thought he
I
would
mean,
still be.
he's
Oh
matured
no.
more than he used to be,
Mm,
but he'll still get up to his hot head antics.
yeah.
Yeah, which is a brilliant evolution of the character. The fuck else was I gonna say? God damn it! I gotta write these things down when I have ideas in my head, and then otherwise I
Yeah.
forget them.
Otherwise, they
Uh,
go up, up and away.
yeah, we'll just it's as good as time as any to transition into our books for the week. Starting off with Superman number 26. And this is brought to us by writer Joshua Williamson, with art from Eddie Barrows, Iber Ferreira, and Sean Izakazi. Colors from Alejandro Sanchez, letters from Aaron Amar, and the cover from Dan Mora. Excuse me, what a cover it is. It's Dan Mora. Like, it's not a surprise that
Brilliant.
the cover is amazing. So we open up on a brief history of everything that's happened throughout Joshua Williamson's Superman run, up into a panel that we see at some point in the day's events, where Superman, under the influence of the angry Red K that he's got flowing through his bloodstream, breaking into Luther's prison cell and screaming at him, "What have you done?" Then we jump back to earlier in the day. Lena is visiting her father and just having it out with him, and basically saying, "You've ruined my life. You've ruined everything, and I don't need to see you anymore." Leaving Luther down in the dumps. Meanwhile, in the Justice League Unlimited Watchtower, Lois, after the events at the end of last issue, got scanned by Mr. Terrific and the two Atoms, and have discovered that the Kryptonian energy in her cells is just gone, is depleted, and for some reason her cells are not absorbing any more solar radiation from the yellow sun. They could maybe try and get it back, but Lois says, "No, I don't need it. I've got a paper to run. I had my fun, but after what happened with Jimmy, I just don't know if I have it in me. I was thinking of hanging up the cape anyway, so I'm just going to go back to the city and leave the superhero wing to the rest of you." We have a brief interlude of Zod and his ship getting attacked by the Kund, who are using weapons they've never seen before, and these weapons have a Superman logo on them. May or may not be from Supercorp. I think most definitely from Supercorp. And speaking of Supercorp, we then jump over to that, where Lena is now having it out with, I was going to call her Tess. No, Mercy. I'm thinking about Smallville too much recently. Having it out with
Apparently
Mercy.
so.
Yeah. um, and then Superman shows up and also has it out with Fucking nearly said Tess again with Mercy. Lena steals one of the hover bikes and leaves the company for good. And Superman basically says, "Yeah, we're done too. Peace out." Um, Leaving Mercy basically all alone with a multi-billion-dollar company, but no direction. So there's a downside. We get another brief interlude at the end of time where the timekeeper, so time trapper, right? Doomsday, future
Yes.
Doomsday,
Yes.
Yes.
um,
Time Trapper.
time
Yes.
trapper, is being attacked by the
Or Trapper
Omega
Keeper.
Legion.
Trapper.
There's no Eric
That
Cartman
was-
here. Trapper
Hey,
Keeper.
I grew up with Trapper Keeper. Shut up.
Yeah, but my earliest memory, not my earliest memory, but when I hear Trapper Keeper, I think of that episode of South Park.
So does everybody else.
Yeah, it's that fucking iconic.
I think about how much it pissed me off if I didn't get one going into 6th grade.
Our
I
second.
was pissed off going into 6th grade.
I'm sorry to hear that. Apparently, they're making a comeback, so be sure to get one for your kids when they go to 6th grade. Though I don't know if they're still making a comeback. I heard about it last year.
I don't know. Liam carries everything loose in his backpack. It never goes in his locker. It never comes out of his thing. It's one at a time.
Oh, Jesus.
His entire school, everything is carried in his backpack everywhere. Portable locker.
Hey, it works.
I guess.
I've done the same thing. I had a
That's
locker
crazy,
every year
man.
in high school. I opened it at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year to return the locker my $5 deposit. That was it.
Well, all right then.
Yeah. All right, so our second interlude of the issue at the end of time, the Trapper Keeper, aka Future Doomsday, is being attacked by the
Trapper
Omega
Keeper.
Legion. They're scanning Saturn Girl specifically is scanning his mind for information on the Superman of the world that he is from, and specifically in the universe that they're in, and getting all the download they need, trying to figure out why, quote unquote, Lord Doomsday is so nervous about the people of this universe. We then jump to what is pretty close to what we opened up with in the present day, present time. Superman is visiting Lex Luthor and trying to get any info out of him about just where his allegiances lie. Lex does promise that he is still a good person. He is still trying to do better. And what happened with XL was a thing of the past. It was never meant to be opened. He had built it at one point, created XL at one point, but realized it was too unstable, wanted it sealed away forever, never to be used. Had to kill him for the sake of the city and to save everyone around, including Superman and Lois. He didn't see any other way around it, and he's sorry that happened, but it had to be done. And hell, if you want even more good graces, I can even give Lois her powers back. Think about how she's feeling right now. And then just takes things a little too far with his words, which brings up some
Just
negative
a
emotions
little
in
bit.
Superman. And that's when the red case starts to activate. He gets out of control, and the power goes haywire. Then the wall had broken down, and that's where we end up where we were before. No more record scratch, and you're wondering how it got here. Nothing like that. Now, Superman is being attacked by some drones in Lexosuits, or I guess guards in Lexosuits, which, that was interesting. I didn't know they had Lexosuits, but
Lexo Exos.
why? I don't know, but it's yeah. I guess he funded Stryker's Island. So because the wall to his cell has been broken down, he runs out to get away from Superman while the guards are trying to contain him. Of course, not working. He's fucking Superman. Runs straight to Farm and Graft and demands that if you save Superman, after you save him, I promise you the three of us will have the fight you so desire, to the death. Just
To the
get this red kryptonite out of Superman. Then we jump back to Superman is still fighting the Lexosuit guards, where he starts to get things under control. His emotions had gone a little haywire. He calls Mr. Terrific at the Justice League satellite, um, but then he gets shot by none other than Marilyn Moonlight, who then shouts at him, "Metropolis must be saved from you, Superman." And that's where issue ends. Next issue, we get Superman versus Marilyn Moonlight, the long-awaited clash that was first teased back in, I think, issue 4. Um, I'm still curious about this Marilyn Moonlight character. I know we got some backstory about her, but I feel like we haven't had enough of her yet. There's still a lot of open plot threads, which tells me that Williamson has a lot more planned for the future. We still have to figure out what's going on with Time Trapper. We still have to figure out what's going on with Zod and Marilyn Moonlight, and maybe not necessarily finish off what's going on with Lex and this whole Red Case scenario, but it sounds like the Red Case scenario is going to be wrapped up fairly soon. I I'm happy with the direction Lex has been taken. I know last issue was a bit of an open area where it looked for a minute that he was going back to his evil ways, but then, like, you could tell that there was something there where he wasn't wanting to do it. He felt he had to do it, right? So it was kind of a toss up whether, like, he's he's doing good for bad reasons, or he's doing bad for what he thinks are good reasons. All right, he's doing good for bad. He's doing good for bad reasons, or yeah, I guess that makes sense. Basically, he's still trying to be a good guy, and I like that direction for Lex. Um, we've had so many
Doing bad
fucking...
for good reasons is what you were trying to say.
Yes, I got myself confused as I was saying.
3 times.
Yes.
3 times.
Yes. He did bad for good reasons, which
Yes.
I think is the best you can hope for Lex. But I like this character progression. We had so many decades of him just being an evil mastermind, hating aliens for the sake of xenophobia and hating aliens. Um, it's time for this character to have some evolution too. We're seeing it from Gold and Silver Age characters all over the place. Hell, even some Bronze Age characters are getting some character development now, all these decades later. Why not Lex Luthor? So I'm all for it. I'm happy that they're not just like taking him back to status quo again. Uh, this issue's kind of alleviated any concerns I might have had coming out of last issue, so I'm all for it. I'm still enjoying it. Art's fantastic. The cover's even better. This story still caught my interest, and I'm excited to see where Williamson has this to go. And I just can't wait to see what's going to happen with Zod, because he's been teasing me with that for like a year. I can't wait for Zod to show up in the book. Now that his powers have seemingly just up and disappeared for some fucking reason, what the hell is he going to do? He's definitely coming to Earth now after he sees the weapons the Quins have. So,
Right.
the fuck's going to happen with Zod? I can't wait. So this issue is getting an 8.75 out of 10.
To me, this was the next chapter in the Superman story. That's about it.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Not my, yeah, it's not my favorite art, and I think that's equally the line work and the colors at fault there. They both really work well together, just not in a style that I'm fond of. I do feel like Williamson is swinging things back around. We'll see what that looks like when it's all wrapped up. Will he have all of his threads nicely tied into a neat little bow, or will there just be like a ball of yarn tossed into a food processor? We shall see. Now, scale of 1 to 10, that has us get specific. 10 is an absolutely perfect, completely flawless in every way issue. A 1 is something like someone that has never seen kanji writing a book completely in kanji and also only drawing with a number 2 pencil and not doing it well. So that's a 1. So 5 is completely average, right? 7 is basically an enjoyable issue to read. I need to keep reminding myself of that. So that lets me give this one a 7 out of 10.
Not bad. I think that's a fair score.
There was
Uh,
nothing that got me excited. I see some potential for follow through, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
I personally gave this one an 8 out of 10. I very much see that some of the storylines are finally starting to get wrapped up, which I know is something that we had kind of criticized with issue 25. It felt like things weren't really moving towards any kind of proper conclusion, but my concern is that certain storylines are going to get more of a priority, others are going to get rushed, and I'm hoping that's not the case. But I get the sense that it might be, at least with some of them, because they're still juggling a lot. And I do get the feeling that whatever's going on with the red kryptonite aspect of the storyline is either just going to be like, let's just get it over with in this arc and move on to whatever comes next, whether that be the Legion or the Zod storyline, or I don't know, it's going to get dragged out. Or
Doomsday.
my concern is that, yeah, my concern is that it's just it's a little, it's too much and not enough time. But the run could be going for longer, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just going crazy. But in terms of the stuff with Lex, I think that has continued to be the stuff that's most interesting in this run. And one thing that I noticed in this issue that maybe I hadn't really noticed as much is that, like, throughout this run, Lex has been so motivated to helping Superman, and I think that's such an interesting dynamic. But his motivations for helping Superman have changed. So whereas before it was, I want to make the world's best Superman because I realize that the world needs a Superman, but it's going to have my Superman the way I want it. It's a very selfish motivation, fueled by his own ego. Whereas this is entirely motivated by, I want a Superman just because it's the right thing to do, and because at this point I don't want to be that person that I was. I don't want to be the Lex who's purely motivated by his own greed and his own selfish intentions. So I appreciate that there is an arc that's moving forward with that. That being said, I am just not a fan at all of whatever they're trying to do with Mercy. Very much feels like they're just trying to do Lex 2.0 with Mercy, and whatever direction
Yeah.
they're driving it in is, it's kind of lost its appeal. Like, pretty much since that last issue when she revealed she was an evil mastermind and had released XL. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't really understand the point of just trying to alienate everyone. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. So 8 out of 10, like I said.
Yeah, like I get where he's coming from writing Mercy doing that, where she spent all this time working with Lex and making sure his evil plans came to fruition and doing things to help him. But it's a shame that they put her back to that status quo. Like you said, basically Lex 2.0. I wouldn't have minded seeing the character growth that we were getting out of her as well.
Yeah,
Right? This
I
whole
agree.
this whole concept of Supercorp was, I thought, fascinating, and having Mercy be at the forefront of that, I thought was a really cool moment. But like during the fuck was the name of the event? Absolute Power. She was out there helping save superheroes. Why would she be doing that if she didn't care?
Because he hadn't thought about this yet.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, that's the downside of this story so far. But like you said, I'm appreciating everything else so far. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What's our next book and who's covering it? It's Batman number 160 and it's covered by Josh.
Oh, he's right on both accounts. Now, hush. Ha.
No.
Written by Jeff Loeb, art inside and out by Jim Lee, with inks from Scott Williams and colors by Alex Sinclair, with lettering from Richard Starkings. Ooh. Red Hood is working with Hush. Check this. This is why. Hush gets to Jason. Batman chose to save Joker's life, but not yours, Jason. But also, Jason has to work with Hush because he is the only amazing surgeon in the world that knows that Jason's gone through the Lazarus pit. He needs a neurosurgeon because his brain is deteriorating, because when he was killed, there was just too much damage, even for the Lazarus Pit to repair. 180 years later. All of his fits of rage since returning are from cerebral pain. However, the brain has no pain receptors. Well, you can't feel pain in the brain. It feels pain, but you know what I mean. They take Joker to the lighthouse as a base. Now to attack Batman, Hush sends a tablet with footage of Batman with the Joker to the Batcave, up from the Batcave to Jim Gordon, and that blows up, which sends Batgirl to him. Nightwing finds Jason at the lighthouse. They fight. Joker pulls Jason's guns on both of them, so both of them are in danger. Looks like Hush and Joker were working together. There's a new villain called Armor, powered by a responsometer made by Hush, like the Metal Man at Wayne Industries, and some giant dude that is like made out of rock and has a sonic scream. Robin, with Bane, shows up to help Batman. They're fighting the new villains, and Hush sneaks up, grabs Damian. No matter which way you go, Robin's die tonight. Cool looking Riddler. I wish he looked like that all the time. The art is good. Inks are nice and crisp. Could be my new monitor, but the colors seem a little washed out. But done very well. The premise behind Jason and Hush is fucking weak. The rest of the story is actually kind of cool if you just look past the whole just throw a responsometer into someone. I mean, I wasn't aware that that's how that fucking worked. I don't think Magnus is either, but you know, here we are. There's that and the entire Jason's brain thing. That's sad because the actual plan by Hush, kidnapping a saved Joker and setting all the Robins up, that was a great idea. But how we got here, this is just absolutely fucking terrible. I mean, how long has it been since he's returned? Brandon.
Who, Hush? Or
No, Jason Todd. How long has it been since he came back to life?
I want to say
20
like
years exactly.
2005, right?
2005.
20 years. 20 years later, his brain is starting to deteriorate.
Right.
Cool.
20 years later, we find out that all the rage is due to
Pain that his brain feels.
yeah, and not the Lazarus Pit, which was an accepted answer and made sense and is in canon and an actual bit of lore about the Lazarus Pit that has been shown across many characters.
Yeah. This is the third issue of the arc. How many are there?
Too many, because this
Right.
is when this arc ends, Josh. It's part 1.
Fuck this. Are you shitting me?
I shit you not, good sir.
How many goddamn issues is Hush 2 taking up?
I don't even know.
Presumably 12.
Do we have a 12?
Presumably 12.
So that was the the original Hush. And
Yeah,
if
which
they're
would
going to
make
do it in
sense.
chunks. It's going to be 2 6-issue chunks.
Yeah.
Wow, I almost want to move Batman to honorable mentions. This is ass. If it wasn't for the pretty good art and the plan inside with the Robins part of it, this would have done far worse. I cannot believe this shit got past a group of editors. With that and the reminder of my scoring scale, all the comments I've mentioned before, this book is going to have to walk away with a I am so sorry, Jim Lee 5.75 out of 10.
I think that's too
Trash
generous for
fire.
I don't even think the art the art's definitely the highlight of the book, but I don't even think the art is as good as you're raving about it. I think it's definitely got some issues here and there.
I didn't rave.
Yeah.
Just said it was good.
Yeah. I mean this cover alone, I open the book and I see the cover just makes me
Not impressed
happy
by the
at
cover.
all. No, it's a very stupid fucking cover. This, I don't believe this was drawn by Jim Lee. There's no way this was drawn by Jim Lee.
Mhm.
Like, this does not look like a Jim Lee Batman in the slightest. It blows my fucking mind.
That's what the signature says.
I get that, but god damn. Um, he's bleeding
But
because
that's
of giant
pencils, and
words
there's
of hush. It's
he's
just
bleeding in his ears and his nose because
Nose.
of that sonic scream employed by one of Hush's employees.
I
Get
guess.
the irony there? That Hush
Uh,
has someone with a painful
Sonic scream.
scream. Ah. Ah ha ha.
Yeah.
Whoa, good God.
Okay. Yeah. Um, the only other, well, not the only other thing, but the thing that quirked me the most was near the end when Damien shows up with Bane, and Bruce is like, Damien's with Bane, but why? And I'm thinking, did you forget your adventures on Dinosaur Island like 2 months
Right.
ago?
And then and then
Which kind of wrapped up
and,
that entire freaking thing.
and then he questions whether he can trust Robin, but doesn't question Bane, just tells Bane what to do.
Yeah. Can I trust him? Of course you can trust him. He's your fucking son.
You don't think twice about being able to trust Bane. But you question whether or not you trust Damien.
Yeah, like you had a whole
I need Jeff Loeb
adventure.
to go through, and everybody's got one of those junk drawers in their kitchen. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got something where everything just. I need Jeff Loeb to go into that junk drawer and find his torch so he can pass it on. This is trash.
I'll give a benefit of the doubt right now because that adventure in Dinosaur Island is actually fairly recent. I think it was within the last 6 months or so it published, right? And Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee apparently been working on this for like 2 fucking years.
Okay.
So
Regardless,
when Jeff Loeb wrote this part, that whole thing with Dinosaur Island that wrapped up all that story, that hadn't happened yet. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt
that story,
the editors should
Dinosaur
have caught
Island,
that.
don't. Dinosaur Island and that story don't fit into any of what I am saying.
Yeah. Oh, it's fitting into what I'm saying.
Damien shows up. Batman's like, "Can I trust him?" He shows up with Bane, which makes it even worse considering that Dinosaur Island isn't involved.
Yeah.
Damien shows up with Bane, and Batman's like, "All right, dude, let's get to work, man. Can I trust my son?"
Right.
The guy that broke my back and is my arch nemesis. I can obviously trust him.
Well, Bane's
This
very
is stupid writing. This is stupid writing.
Yeah, it's not great. I know we were not looking forward to this. I believe all three of us were not
The
looking forward to
Robins-
this whole story going into it. And we're 3 issues deep, and I still hate it.
The Hush Joker Robin's abduction thing, that part is fucking cool. But aligning Red Hood with Hush, it's really stupid, and all the rest of it just does not work, man.
I don't even
Just
think
does not
that
work.
part is cool. Because I was never,
I mean,
when I read that part, I didn't take it as Joker was working with Hush as well. I took that as Joker just saw an opportunity and he took it. Oh, these two dumbasses are fighting
yeah.
amongst each other. Oh, look at these 2 pistols. Let me take this opportunity to kill 2 more Robins. Like that's
Nope.
that's how I took it as, right?
I
He
think
could
that
be
they're
working with Hush. That
together.
would be an interesting
100%.
twist. But I definitely took it as
That's how
he's being
it's how it
resourceful
was
all the
all.
time.
That's how it was all lined up to be. That's how Hush knew that Joker was doing what he was doing. When he was like, "No matter what you do, Bruce, see 3 Robins die tonight."
That's true. He did say that. I didn't piece that together. Which
Yep.
is just. Yeah.
So he knew it. So Joker was working with him.
And can I point out last thing I'll say about the
No.
issue before I give my score? No, I need to point this out. This is important.
Okay, go ahead.
This is very important. This issue and your review of it kind of hammers home that you're wrong, Josh.
About what?
You said 3 Robins die tonight.
That's what Hush said.
Yeah, and you said it too. And you didn't dispute that
I was repeating what Hush said.
And
Is
you
this
did not
motherfucker gonna
dispute
try
that
and-
at all.
It's beyond discussion. Let's go.
I will never let that go.
I don't have to look. Brandon
It's
got
my
me
favorite
one
debate with
fucking
you.
time. Brandon got me one fucking time in Discord. I had to hand it to him. I had to bow down. There's no need to continue to beat it into my head. Okay,
I will never
He
stop.
you let me
knows,
sit here,
he
drink my
knows.
beer, and reach.
I will never
Yeah.
stop. That's fair.
What,
Fair enough.
what,
fair
what
enough.
did you say, Brandon?
I said he knows if he's still debating over this, it's just because he's being stubborn. He knows it gets a
I
rise
just
out
don't
of
want.
us.
I prefer not to see it that way, even though he
Okay.
was able to like pull out receipts, which
The
I
objective
have to
truth
respect
that-
because
yeah.
that's how I handle shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I can choose to see that the Earth is not round, but that doesn't make it true.
Right, you have to acknowledge the receipts.
Yes. All right. So beyond all the issues of this issue and the story arc so far, I'm gonna give this 5 out of 10.
Ouch.
No, no. You said 5 is average.
Five. Yeah, I mean, I would
Five.
say five is average.
5 is average.
Mm.
4.75.
Oh my god, that might be the lowest score Rob's ever
That
given.
might be the lowest score I've ever given. I think I gave something a 3 once, but this is just fucking too little, too late.
Less than half a dozen times this has happened, guaranteed. All right, Brandon, what did you think about it?
I don't have much else to add. Honestly, there's nothing to say about this book, and that's not
Oh,
even
that's
me
like the
being like
worst thing
pessi-
Brandon could
No,
say.
I mean it's true. Like there's
Yeah.
what is there to say about this book that we haven't said for the past 2 months that you can't experience from just reading the book, which I would encourage you not to do. Like yes, it's wholly unoriginal. Plot lines make no sense. Characters are doing nonsensical things. Nightwing and Red Hood's fight is so tired and ridiculous. There's like I don't even feel like talking about it because it's such a waste of time. So this one gets a four.
Hey.
Yeah, this one gets a 4 out of 10 from me, and I in a kinder world I would be able to compliment Jim Lee's artwork, but I genuinely can't even do that here because it's not even very polished, which is why I'm shocked
No,
because allegedly this series took a year and a half to draw or something crazy like that. And I get it. Jim Lee is the president and CCO or whatever CEO of DC Comics.
Chief
He's got
Creative Officer.
quite a lot of stuff on his plate, understandably so. So I'm sure it takes quite a while. But even this is not up to his normal stuff. Like this is just it's sloppy. There's no other way to
Yeah.
say it. There are some panels
It's
that
so
look very
heavy
nice.
on the inks. It feels like this might be a little bit more Williams than Lee at this point.
I don't know about that because I'm looking at the anatomy and the shape of some of the characters. Like I can point out specific panels, and I think even uninked, even in the raw pencils, that would have been Jim Lee. I really think it's just
no,
they were-
yeah, I
they
just
were
mean
trying to- I don't know. I don't know what they were trying to do, but it's just it's sloppy and it's unpolished.
It's not good. I don't think the cover looks like Jim Lee. I'm with Rob at that. On the inside, for sure. But anyway, it's bad. Look, y'all, we have moved Wonder Woman to honorable mentions before because it was shit, and Batman is no Jesus, man. It can happen to him too. Something worth
Yeah.
thinking about.
Yeah.
But
I just before we consider, I remember the name of the creator I was gonna say that
No, you
this cover reminds me of, and why. There's bits of this cover that make me think of Michael Maven Oming.
really,
Yeah, and it's specifically the cape and the little bit of his rib cage you can see. I look at that and I'm like, this looks like it's from Powers or something along that line instead of a Jim Lee original. It's bugging me so much that his signature is attached to this image.
I mean, I don't see it that much, but I think I understand what you're trying to say. It is a little bit chunkier and blockier
Yeah.
It does kind of remind me
Yeah.
of the Powers. Is that the only thing he's done? No.
Michael Avenomi? No, he did a lot more stuff.
I mean, I know he
He
did.
even did a Midnighter story for
Oh, that's
DC as
right.
well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, he sure did.
The only other thing I could think of was the
And I'm not a fan of
Crossbones
his,
with
and I enjoyed that.
Ivan Brandon. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I usually like his stuff, so that doesn't bother me as much. I don't hate this cover, but I see some of the criticism.
Yeah. Did you
Thematically,
give
I
your score?
understand what they're trying to. Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 10.
Oh,
Like thematically, I get what the cover is going for. It makes
Yeah.
sense, right? At this point, Batman is very superstitious and paranoid that Hush has infiltrated everyone in his family and his network. So
Okay.
he's literally overwhelmed with the thought and the sound of Hush because his voice is just everywhere. He's got his finger everywhere, but it's just a dumb story. So, regardless of how the cover looks, I just can't really like attach myself to it in any way.
Nope.
And I'll give you this, Josh.
Shit
I
could be done
agree
to
with
save this
you.
one, Margaret.
I agree with you that the Riddler design is kind of cool.
Yep.
But it bugs me because know his next appearance after this story, he's not going to have that tattoo over his eye. It's just not going to be there.
And
It
what,
showed
and,
up unexplicably and it's going to disappear inexplicably.
I don't think that it's a tattoo. I think it's just mark like paint.
That's even dumber. If that's the case, if it was a tattoo, like, all right, he's going hard with the whole question thing, riddles and shit. But if that's just like face paint, yeah. No wonder you
Who
lose all
knows?
your fights with dumb ideas like that. Anyway, that's enough about this book. Let's talk about something much better.
From misses to a hit.
Yeah,
Bullseye, it's Green Arrow.
the
That's
better
the one.
billionaire, playboy, philanthropist superhero.
And can we just, get ahead of the curve here and say a much better cover too?
Yeah, much better use of negative space.
Yeah.
It's a fucking great cover.
Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Green Arrow was written by one Christopher Condon with art from Montos, colors, excuse me,
Woo, woo.
from Adriana Lucas, and letters from Hassan Atsme and Elhau. The story comes full circle with Kenny Gordon at his mother's grave, revealing that he has some unconventional plans for getting justice for the people of Stillwater. And after that, we hard cut to Kenny in prison as he meets with one Oliver Queen. Ollie promises that in his mother's name, a new foundation will take care of the people of Stillwater. Of course, this does not erase Kenny's anger, but he at least acknowledges Ollie's attempt at doing something right. Following a short conversation with Detective Benitez, Ollie goes after Max Horton, the brother of Abigail Horton, who inherited the company after the events of the 1983 Green Arrow series, to demand that he make restitution for all the victims of Freshwater. Ollie, having had a hard day, checks in with Dinah as he heads back to his apartment. As he arrives at his apartment where Connor, Roy, and Dinah await him, Ollie reaffirms that more than anything, family endures through everything. Excuse me.
Man.
I think that's a great way, phenomenal way to cap off this arc, because we already had the dramatic brawl and finale with the last issue. This is literally just bringing everything to a close. We have characters Kenny arc wrapped up in a neat little bow. We have Ollie's character arc, at least in this specific moment, all wrapped up. Like it is, it just does it so effectively. And for anyone out there who's read that Texas Blood, which I know is probably a low number of people, this is
Really? I thought that was really popular.
No, well, I shouldn't say shockingly, because it was his first book. Like the only people that really knew about it were people who were reading criminal like me, but that's neither here nor there. But this really reminds me of the first arc, Brother's Conscience, which does the exact same thing, introduces central premise, introduces characters, wraps everything up in a neat little bow. It's not dragging on the character arc. Like, if you were to only read this Green Arrow arc, you would have a complete story. But I'm sure it will continue on into future things. and that is excellent, right? And so I have no notes. Like this is just incredible, and I'm like I'm shocked because a lot of conclusions will feel like they need to build towards the next thing or tease what's coming next, and that can work, and it's it's very effective. I don't want to disparage it or anything, but this is just a genuinely satisfying conclusion. And like I've talked about this book in the context of it feels like a TV show or something, like the best action TV series you've ever seen. This is absolutely like the season finale, and you are completely satisfied with it. And it's just
Yeah, not
executed.
everything has to be a cliffhanger,
No,
right?
it like it
Exactly.
is. Again, I don't want to be redundant, but it just wraps everything up perfectly. Kenny's arc is finished. You wouldn't need to do anything else, and if you were to just read this arc in isolation, it would be incredibly satisfying, which is really nice for once. So Green Arrow gets a 9 out of 10 for me. I'm almost tempted to give it a higher score just because like the relief that I feel from getting to the end of an arc and being like that's it. Like I feel content, you know what I mean? As opposed to oh god, what's coming next? Is it going to be as good as the arc I just read or is this cliffhanger going to be kind of disappointing or whatever? Like I walk away from this and I want nothing more, which
Yep.
hilariously is also how I felt about A Brother's Conscience, and was why I wasn't really reading that Texas Blood for a little while, because I finished that arc and I was like, I'm done. I don't need anything more. Like it satisfied everything I need. And not to say that the stuff that will come after or came after in that book is or will be bad, but it's just you have a very complete and full feeling from this arc, from this issue in particular, that just leaves you satisfied, right? So, yeah, I have no notes. It is just shy of perfect.
Yeah, it is actually really refreshing to read a creative team's opening arc on a series, and it just be an opening arc in a series. There's not no giant pitch, like you said, no big reveal of what's coming next. And there's no
Right.
giant pitch of like a multi-arc 50-issue story. Not
Or
that
you
those are
find out
bad,
that,
but like
Merlin was behind the whole freshwater plot the whole time.
yeah, like
Or
Right,
Brick or
right.
something. Like, that would have completely undermined
the
everything that
entire
had
thing.
happened. Like, this
Yeah,
is just a
It would have
character arc.
undermined how important the story was, for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're 100% right about that.
yeah.
So that's what I mean when I feel like it is entirely and absolutely satisfying in that
Oh yeah,
nothing is undermined, nothing is turned over. There's no reveal. It sounds kind of simplistic to say it like this, but it literally it is what it is,
yeah.
and you just take it in and complete the arc and are completely satisfied like a full
Exactly.
meal.
Yeah.
So
But it's this is not going to be a type of run that's going to be some epic multi-part arc. It's you're gonna get a Green Arrow story, and then you're gonna get another Green Arrow story, and then you're gonna get another
mhm.
Green Arrow story, and I am all for that because we're in abundance of multi-part
Maybe.
arcs that not
Yeah,
not again not that they're bad. It's just there's so fucking many. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of how much story you're getting, and like with
yeah,
series like this, runs like this, it's easier to keep track. It's easier to understand what's going on. Okay, this is that story, and then we go to the next story. I'm all fucking for it. And I think
yeah.
if there's ever a character that type of writing fits best, is Green Arrow,
Agreed. Yeah.
right?
I've talked about it a few times, but one of my favorite runs of all time, and it's not that long, but there's a reason that the story arcs from that run have endured, is Jeff Johns' Action Comics. Because if you actually analyze the stories that came from that run, not counting Up in the Sky, pretty much each one is a standalone story. You can
Yeah,
read Brainiac in isolation. You can read Superman and the Legion of Superheroes in isolation. You can read Escape from Bizarro World in isolation. And each one of those is a satisfying story unto itself. It
yeah,
doesn't need any other context.
yeah.
Now,
And
Brainiac is a little different because it does lead into New Krypton, but the idea of
mhm,
I'm going to tell a story, I'm going to complete the story in the arc, and that's it, and you will be completely satisfied by that story in isolation. I love that format
yeah,
when it works.
like it might lead into New Krypton, but you don't have to
Yeah,
read New Krypton to appreciate it.
right.
Yeah, Yeah, it's fantastic. I do hope that Chris Condon's run on Green Arrow is just like this.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
tell the story, move on to the next story. Perfect. This story in particular, this issue in particular, though, it's an epilogue of what we had. It is labeled as part seven, and realistically, it is part seven, but it does feel more of like an epilogue to the story we had. And it's a hell of a fucking epilogue. It wraps everything up. It's fantastic. Um, I, Brandon, I think you said everything best. I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's wrapped up neatly with a nice little bow on top. Um, it's peak Oliver Queen. I'll say that. It's peak Oliver
Agreed.
Queen. My only note, actually, I forgot this one note. They're teasing it, and I really hope that's not the case. That Ollie and Detective Benitez, I think her name was, are maybe flirting a little bit. I don't want that to happen because Ollie and Dinah are couple goals. Right? They're
Ollie and Dinah
iconic.
will never, ever, ever, ever split.
I know,
Never.
but Chris Condon's
Ollie
doing a little
also
bit of this
is
thing
a
with the
fucking flirt.
detective. Is well, I mean, even the detective's getting a little
He,
like, oh,
well, that's
I
on the
don't want that to
detective.
go in that
Ollie's
direction.
been a flirt. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's just Ollie being Ollie.
Being
Yep.
Ollie,
He's,
yeah,
yep, yep,
I
yep.
mean, for as much as he loves his pretty bird, he's never exactly been.
Not like all the other birds.
Yeah,
yeah,
he will notice a pretty girl. Let's say that much at least. But I think yeah, I think Ollie is not going to succumb to past failures as he has
okay,
in previous runs. Although people have compared this run to Mike Grell's, and I think that's appropriate. But that is the run that basically started Ollie's cheating, like that being a recurring trope. Now, of course, that is a whole thing unto itself, but I hope that is not an element that he would pull from. This idea that Ollie is, gonna kind of sleep around or something like that.
yeah, yeah. I
I
really
feel
hope
like
that's
it's
not the
been
case.
so long since we've seen him do that kind of shit. I feel like it's been kind of put to bed. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
so long. I don't think I even realized that was ever a part of his character.
Only for very select moments,
Yeah,
and honestly, pretty much
His
everyone is in agreement they were very out of character. Like
dalliances.
the one
Yes.
in I don't again I'm not gonna get into it too much, but the one in Mike Grell's run is very much a moment of Ollie being like, "Yes, I kissed you, but I knew it was very wrong," right? And like, is very much aware of what happened. Like it's never Ollie never has these moments and is like, "Well, honestly, now that I think about it, I don't want to be with Dinah anymore." It's always a moment of regret, which I think is not good, because there's a whole kind of sexist element there, but I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, it's never something that has become like a defining trait, which is probably why you don't think of it as much. It's just something that writers in the past have kind of flirted with and then usually used as a way to show Ollie's morality and that he's always regretful of it.
yeah.
But it hasn't really been a thing since like 2004, since the first arc of Judd Winnick's run. I think it's called Straight Shooter. Can't remember.
Fair. Otherwise, yeah, near
People
perfect issue. 8.75 out of 10 for me.
Like you said, people remain. They are the future, especially in this arc. I feel like this was a really good wrap up. Just like you guys said, can't wait to see what the next one is. Whatever Crimson Sands is all about. Sounds like it could be another corporate related problem. So I really enjoyed this one. It's art, it's ending, and it's creative team. 8 out of 10. 8 8.25 out of 10.
Right on. All right.
And now let's change gear, but not color.
Yep. We're gonna go up, up, up and away into space and down, down, down below into hell with Green Lantern. It's written by Jeremy Adams with art and cover from Zermanico, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters from Dave Sharp. We return to our intrepid adventurers in space on the Interceptor spaceship Dan Garrett, aka the Silver Scarab, Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, Connor Kent, Superboy, and Odyssey.
Odyssey,
Odyssey,
yes.
yeah, they
You
didn't.
finally got it.
Yeah, I don't think they
Well,
even
kind of,
mentioned
but
her name in
yes.
this issue at all, so it just took me a minute. They are on the run from the Reach still, with the Reach in their own little spaceship. Well, little. It's a massive fucking spaceship, chasing after them at super fast speeds. It's questioned why the Interceptor is so slow because it's supposed to be the fastest ship in the galaxy. Connor is working on fixing the jump drive, but he's a superhero, not an space engineer, so he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's just heat visioning shit.
None of them do.
None of them do. Kyle's
None of
doing
them do.
whatever he can to get the hell out of Dodge. Dan mentions
Everything he's ever learned from hell.
pretty much. Dan mentions there's a gas cloud off to the left or whatever. Head into that. Odyssey gets a bad feeling about things, and her bad feelings are pretty fucking accurate because within this gas cloud is a giant space monster. Not really a worm. Think that one scene in Star Wars with the fucking Millennium Falcon on the asteroid. That nearly happened to the Interceptor. Um, excuse me. Kyle makes a very
Okay.
quick bank turn, and the Reach ship smashes right into the Beast's mouth and blows the fuck up. But then the Beast turns its jaws towards the Interceptor, so the Interceptor gets the fuck away as fast as it can, because the jump drive. I'm calling it the jump drive. It's not called a jump drive.
Who cares? It's a jump drive.
Exactly. The jump drive activates, and the ship super speed kicks into high gear, and they can escape the Beast. Nobody knows where the fuck that came from because Connor didn't do it, but Dan gets scans that it's caused by something outside of the ship, whatever it may be. And those that know and have watched Green Lantern the Animated Series will have an inkling as to what this is. And those that don't,
Oh yeah.
I will give you a hint at the end of my review, because then we jump into Hell, where Hal is met up with none other than Gnort, which we saw at the end of the last issue. And I'm pleased to report, people, that my theory at the end of the last issue was wrong. It actually is Gnort. He ended up in this alien hell because he was flying through space on a mission, doing his patrol, and found some weird portal. So he went into it and ended up here, and he's been stuck ever since. His ring ran out of power ages ago, and he had no way to get out. So he's just been wandering around this place forever. He had no clue it was hell. He just thought it was some weird alien planet that was really fucking scary.
Really scary.
Really scary. So now that the two lanterns have rejoined, together with the Spectre, no, sorry, not the Spectre, the Phantom Stranger, and Zoriel, they head to the destination Hal is looking for. There's a giant door that Zoriel opens, and behind it is some weird fucking alien that, if you read the Spectre with Hal Jordan, that run, that who wrote that? Wasn't John Ostrander. I thought it was, but I was wrong.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't remember.
This character's
I know
not in
Brent-
there though, right? This is the first time we've seen Adia, right?
I don't know, because I never read that run, but they definitely teased that this all happened during his time as the Spectre.
I mean,
Right.
I read that run. My memory's not the greatest, and I probably didn't read every single issue. But
Yeah.
Brandon, do you know?
There's no editor's note here pointing out a specific issue of the Spectre with
Right.
Hal Jordan. So it could be, maybe this is just a pull from, like, saying that, oh, he knows Adia from his time as the Spectre, that they have some deal and this is what's happening. Maybe it's not a character that exists before. I'd need to look into it. Like I said, I never got around to reading that Spectre run with Hal Jordan. Um, but this story is what reminded me of it. So maybe I should go check it out to be sure. But the point is, Hal knows this character from his time as the Spectre. They had a deal apparently, according to Adia anyway, and he's in hell thanks to Hal Jordan, who may or may not have betrayed him as the Spectre, or just gave him his just desserts and sent him to hell. Either way, he has to renege on their deal and take this necklace that was around Adia's neck, that is supposedly some kind of light. And that's exactly what Hal was looking for, and tells Gnort to take it to Oa, because as they leave the room, they are met with the actual Spectre, the Spirit of Vengeance. Cue the giant fucking fight. Because the Spectre blasts Hal, saying he needs a host, and Hal's like, "Too bad, it's not going to be me." He says he's got this. He tells, so then Gnort takes the necklace to go back to Oa. Zoriel and Phantom Stranger accompany him, and Hal promises them, "Don't worry, I got this," because this is a conversation that has been long coming. So then our trio of heroes try to get through hell, but then they are met by a whole bunch of demons. So Zoriel and Phantom Stranger do what they can to fight the demons, while Gnort runs like hell to get to the exit. Hal and the Spectre have an epic fucking fight going back and forth. But Hal actually gets the upper hand because he has the strongest will in the universe. Even stronger than the hand of God, apparently.
Wow.
He refuses to be the Spectre's lackey anymore. Tells him to go find somebody else. He gets through the door of hell just as Zoriel's about to close it. And now they have a fighting chance to save Oa, whatever this necklace may be. Meanwhile, Adia is still chained to the wall, but now he is met by none other than Starbreaker, who asks him if he wants to get revenge on Hal Jordan. He wants to be free and wants the power to do it. Adia agrees and inducts him into the Starbreaker Corps by asking him, "What is your name and what have you brought to the Starbreaker Corps?" He yells out, "Disgust."
What have you done for me lately, Eddie?
So it sounds like his name going forward is going to be Disgust. Is still unsure what the hell the Starbreaker Corps really is. It's uncertain what the fuck is going on. I thought it was going to be a whole bunch of Starbreakers, but apparently not. There's more people involved, including Adia, who brings the power of disgust. So we'll have to see. Next issue, Happy, the Axolotl, and the Return of the Manhunters. If ever there was a pairing meant for happy tree friends, it's that. Yeah, this is a hell of an issue.
Yes.
Very interesting stuff. Hell is 100% the word to use. I'm so happy Nort's back. I can't wait for him to show up back on Oa, and I hope that if he's not sticking around with Hal for a while, maybe makes the jump over to Green Lantern Corps and joins the rest of the team there. Specifically goes on an adventure with Guy, because that's an OTP right there. That's a classic fucking pairing. The thing with the Interceptor getting that power boost from outside the ship. For those that have never watched Green Lantern the animated series, there was a character that was the AI on board the Interceptor from the beginning of the series, a character by the name of Aya, coined by Hal Jordan himself, who later on created a body of her own that she could roam around in and be an actual humanoid AI.
Aya
Razor,
just AI backwards.
kind of like he added an A at the end of it. Was AIA, is how they spelt it.
But still, I mean,
Yeah.
phonetically, not
Yeah.
exactly the same, but
Yeah.
syllabically, yes.
Hal was
That's
never said to
fucking-
be the most creative person. He just said, "No, she needs a name. Call her Aya." Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, it's not the first time I've ever heard of Aya. It is the first time I ever put that together.
Yeah.
Just now.
So that character has been teased to be in this run because her story kind of ended with what was it? Necron, I think. They were doing a whole
I'm not
Blackest
sure.
Night storyline in the show, and she
Is
disappeared somewhere. No, 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 no. It wasn't
is
Necron.
Brandon
It was,
back yet?
I don't know. No, it was the Anti Monitor. She was possessed by the Anti Monitor. In her story, she was very connected to Razor because her visage, like the shape of her face, was reminiscent of Razor's dead wife. Um, so they had a very close connection, and ever since she disappeared, Razor's shown up in various things in the DC universe. Young Justice, the animated series, now in the comics, every time looking for Aya. Um, and yeah, it's happened in this series. When he showed up, I'm still looking for her. They've never named Aya specifically, but longtime fans know that he means Aya. And Aya's been teased, and then we see the Interceptor. Even more teases. Now there's something outside the Interceptor that can connect with it remotely. That's fucking Aya. So it's gonna be Aya. She's showing up. It's happening soon, and I'm so fucking happy. Thank you, Jeremy Adams. Um,
You knew
how?
he was gonna do it, dude.
Oh God, I knew he was gonna do it. I was just waiting for it to happen, and now it's fucking here. I'm so happy.
I think you're gonna see everything from the animated series. All the good shit, all the great shit,
I mean, to be
all the
honest,
good shit. I think you're
all,
gonna see it pop up.
all the good shit that happened in the animated series had already happened in the comics because most of the stories in that were based off stuff that had happened in Jeff Johns' run.
But you know what I mean. I mean,
Yeah,
the new shit, like
yeah,
Aya,
The
Aya
yeah.
characters
and
Aya,
Interceptor
and
and
Razor.
yeah.
Razor, they
Interceptor.
all are.
Mm.
They all came from the series,
And
right?
they're all here now. So I'm happy. And it helps that Jeremy Adams was a writer on that show as well. So it works out. Hal fighting the Spectre. That was badass. I was concerned for a second that the Spectre was going to possess Hal, but he can't enter Hal's body without Hal saying yes. It did kind of surprise me that Hal got the upper hand on the Spectre, but I think if there's anybody that could do it, it's Hal. It's yeah. I'll give it to him. Why the fuck not? Fun issue, but to me they're all fun. So this one is no different. I am giving this a 8.5 out of 10.
All right, I would have given it an 8.5 myself, but I had to knock it off for just the tiniest bit. It seemed like there was no interaction between the Phantom Stranger and the Spectre with Spectre acting like this. As two members of the quintessence, you think there would have been at least 2 words of dialogue, but
That's
there
the
was.
thing about the contestants that bugs me so much is how many times have members of the contestants interacted in the real world and they've never pretended to know each other, right? They've never, they always pretend like they don't know each other and don't fucking have any secret cabal that governs reality.
This is around and watches it more like it.
Yeah.
Says, "Oh no." I feel like this new character Ada, cool, disgust, right?
Yeah.
With some light-bearing necklace that will help Hal save the universe, so it's powerful, right?
Yeah.
New Spectrum core. So listen, Linda, listen.
Linda, honey.
Disgust is an actual base human emotion.
Yes.
Hear me out, okay? I
Also one of the
figured
seven
this
deadly
out.
sins, I think.
The base human emotions are joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger. As of this arc, we have had fear and anger already. Sadness has been the kickoff of all of this, and we just got disgust.
Yeah.
These are going to be new spectrums of the core, as will joy.
Which,
I believe
need to remind
that
you, already happened.
joy is coming. No, you don't. You have love, you have compassion. There's no happiness. Where's the happy core?
That's the gold core. Gold lanterns.
That's not a thing. You take that dirty Bendis bullshit right out of your mouth.
I'm just saying it happened.
They weren't called the Happiness Core.
No, but their emotion was joy.
Well, then the Gold Lanterns are showing up. If Adams chooses to follow with Bendis.
Mm-hmm. Which
Mm-hmm.
he already is with Teen Lantern. So,
In how so?
well,
I mean,
Bendis left
Bendis
that
had
whole
that
thing with
shit
Teen
set up in the
Lanterns.
future, right? For the Gold Lantern. As far
Yeah.
as Teen Lantern, he introduced the character and then just dropped the ball.
Well, no,
That was it.
he did give some inkling of her origins, and then
In what way?
like he showed us that she found the. I think at the last issue of the Young Justice Run, he showed us that she found the gauntlet in a junkyard from a dying alien. Um, or maybe it wasn't from a
Yeah,
dying
but I
alien,
mean
but
that's
that's
where she started off in her very first appearance. Was
yeah,
in a
that's what I
junkyard
mean.
running from an alien.
That's what I mean. So like that's part of her origin, and now Jeremy Adams is taking that and running with it. So I wouldn't put it past him to take another lantern thing that Bendis has created, if he is going at in that direction, which you do have a point.
I mean, these are the big things, right? Have
Yeah.
we seen anything other than Joy? Or excuse me, not Joy. Haven't seen Joy. But have we seen anything other than sadness, fear, disgust, anger, and willpower?
Like in what way? What do you mean?
Have we seen any of the other um uh uh with the exception of Star Sapphire, right?
Okay.
Have we seen any of those other spectrums that previously existed?
Like of those emotions?
The indigo one, lanterns, the blue lanterns,
Yeah.
avarice, obviously not. Any of the other ones that we had, like we know that there's red lanterns. I know
Yeah.
that there's
Yeah.
green. Have we seen any of like indigo or blue or anything along those lines yet?
Like in this story arc, I don't understand your question.
Yes, in this story arc, yes.
No, because they are supposedly gone.
Right. So
Yeah.
like all of the lanterns are pretty much
Yeah.
okay. What if those don't come back and the new cores are just the base emotions?
Oh, so like there's a brand new spectrum.
A brand new
Brand new.
spectrum: joy, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, and willpower.
I mean, you might be onto something because the color aura that was surrounding, um, fucking whatever his name was, Adia, at the end
Yeah.
there was yellow.
Yes. Or orangish.
Yeah. So you
I
might
don't
be
know,
onto something there.
I'm digital, so I don't. But you think it's a possibility? What about you, Brandon? Brandon doesn't say
there.
anything unless we specifically ask him anyway.
I'm not even really sure what the question is.
What do you think about not having the traditional cores come back, with the exception of willpower, replacing all of the other cores with joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger?
I don't really see that as a possibility, considering how ingrained the uh, standard rainbow spectrum has become now. But I could see these fractal lanterns, I think is what they're being called now.
Well,
Just kind of being
that's
a standard of the spectrum, at least for a little while, at least until the central power batteries are restored. Um, and so you just have a bunch of people manifesting, like as they are now, a bunch of different emotions like this. And it'll be easier for
until
someone
the
like
lanterns.
this. Yeah, until at least. Yeah, at least until someone is able to restore the central power batteries, as I said. But it makes it easier to manipulate, as Starbreaker is doing, with the promise of, if you're manifesting this emotion, I can help you, form a core or something. I don't know. But I don't get the feeling that Jeremy Adams is going to is going to entirely like subvert the the well known other core that we've established up until this point. I don't really see that happening, especially with ones that people would be entirely unfamiliar with.
I mean, we do have yellow. The yellow and the red would be there. We got gray. Disgust was like orange-ish. Joy could be Carol. But I don't know. It's all speculation. I could talk for hours on that. I have no idea. It's just ideas.
We'll have to see. There's so many different directions this whole story can go. I'm all for
It
it.
is.
We're 10
I think
issues away
I-
from number 600. So he's definitely building something.
Regardless of whether or not it's something that stays that's permanent, I do believe that joy is coming. How all of this ends, I don't know, but joy is coming. Every month, the art, story, dialogue keeps me ridiculously invested in this title. This issue was no exception in the slightest. 8.25 out of 10. Brendan?
Oh, right. I did not give my score. Yeah, I'd probably also give this an 8 out of 10. The standout moment for me probably, I mean, yes, there's a lot of speculation on the new discussed fractal lantern, but for me, this really felt like we're putting a proper conclusion on Hal's time as the Spectre, which always felt like it never really got that proper resolution. There's so much to it that I don't know that it ever really could have a satisfying end to it, but
Yeah.
if there's one thing that you could critique from Green Lantern Rebirth, it's the fact that he's just kind of pried away from the Spectre, and he makes his peace and then finds his way, his soul finds his way back to his body, and then it's kind of over. Like, the Spectre is just gone, and then they don't resolve that until Day of Vengeance or whatever that event was. So having that interaction between Hal and the Spectre again is interesting to see, and it's also interesting to see Hal's perspective in that he's like, I don't think I could shoulder that burden again. Like, I don't think find someone else because I'm just not that guy. Which I think speaks to how far Hal's character has come from Parallax from Emerald Twilight. So it's something that I had really had to think about, and it's kind of, that moment was sitting with me a lot in how much Hal has changed since that moment, since being burdened with everything, since death, since sacrificing himself during the final night. Like, he'd been through so much, it made sense to carry the burden of the Spectre, because what did he have to lose? At that point, it was just try and build a new life. But at this point, he has so much to lose. He's in a somewhat stable relationship with Carol. He's back on Earth somewhat, rebuilt the core for like the third time. Like, there's so much more at stake, and it makes sense that he would reject that burden. So yeah, it was something to think about. Like, that was the moment I think that stuck out the most to me. So 8 out of 10, like I said.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, well, next up is The Flash. Woo. And you thought Deodato drawing it was scary. Written by Simon Spurrier and art from Vasco Giorgi, with colors from Matt Herms and lettering from Hassan Asmani Al-How, with a cover from Mike Deodato Jr. and Jao Canola. Just kidding, that is Deodato. Review. I don't understand why. Anyway, you just can't draw a nice face. Not for the Flash. Eclipso is still in control of Foxy, but apparently that he's gnawing on Eclipso while all of that's happening. So, way to go, Foxy. One of the Wally shards gets into the bubble and finds out that what the plan is and that they're trying to push. Barry shows up, but still has no power. We find out that his ring was eaten by Eclipso. After Barry can't talk Wally out of the way that he's handling this war with Eclipso, he goes home. And then the Wally shard that got into the bubble has decided that he's not going back. He's not going into the recycling bin, and instead that he's going to go rogue, and he runs off. So that's that. I liked how Spurrier phrased what reality is based around the story. I've been into I've been into this story so far, but I feel like this one served little to no purpose. It explained what Eclipso's plan was, and that's cool. But I definitely feel like we could have seen more happen here. Move the moon in front of the sun so the earth is in permanent darkness. But that's it. Pretty good art in most places, others not quite so much. I would like to bring one panel in particular to to present as evidence here. Um, what in the living hell is that? Regular Wally in the background? Yeah, okay. Wally in the front? Not okay. But in any case, I enjoyed it. This one had its wheels spinning a bit, explaining again what's going on. We didn't need that. Um, Disappointed, especially with the art hits that it had. 6.25 out of 10.
I think you're muted.
I can't hear you. Wait, what?
I forgot I was
What does
muted.
that
Sorry.
mean?
The thing that's bugging me the most about Cy Spurrier's run is that he's done it a couple times now. He's given us moments with characters that they say like, "This isn't you, Wally. This isn't what's happening. Like this is stupid. This doesn't make any sense. Why is this happening?" And he's just teasing the fans that are saying this. I hate that so much more because he keeps fucking doing it. And it's just.
It's gone on too long. This one was one too many. It needs to fucking stop and get the story moving again.
Back on
This
track.
shit, which is supposed to be some kind of like emotional investment from the reader, it isn't going to work. If it hasn't already, it's not going to come. Stop.
Here's the joke.
Let's
Josh.
go.
This is part 2. This whole
I
story
mean,
has
it's
only
been good
two
so
issues
far,
so
but I mean,
and it's already overwhelmed its stay. It's not an interesting story. I think, like, we've talked numerous times about new creative teams recognizing what the previous creative team did, but not working in conjunction with that. Like, do what you need to do what you want to do, write your story, acknowledge the history happened, but just because that happened doesn't mean your story needs to revolve around that history. But at the very least, you should remember or know what the previous creative team did. We had the 1 minute war not long before Jeremy Adams had to leave the book.
I mean, this is different than the 1 minute war, though.
It's different from
The
the
only
1 minute
thing that's
war,
similar, the
but
only thing that's
it's
similar is that there was that inside of a containment, time is moving way faster.
differently, and it's the
Well, yeah, differently,
flashes
not even faster, because
at
1 minute war
war.
was the other way around.
Yeah, and it's the flashes at war. It's
Flashes go to war. It happens all the time. There was even the Flash
not
War.
like this. The
This
Flash
is
War
a
was
one
not
Flash
like a
war.
World War II fucking scenario, though.
This is the one Flash War. That's what this is.
This is nuts. This is
Yeah, but it's way more than one Flash.
yeah. You
There's-
have any other speedster around is telling Wally that you're taking this too far, but Wally's just like, this needs to fucking happen. Even his family's like, we don't even know
They're
who you
all
are
there
anymore.
helping him.
No, but even Max Mercury is just saying was not really agreeing with the things Wally's saying. Like he's there to help because is what he's gonna do and is what he's good at, and he's always gonna help Wally. But you could tell he still doesn't agree with what Wally's doing. He's doing it because it needs to happen. He's there to help heal people, but he doesn't think that what Wally's doing is the right move. And Barry just straight up tells him to his face.
You got a better idea? You got a better idea? Huh?
I'm not a
Max,
speedster.
Maxie Mercy? Huh? Huh?
It's
Mr.
just
Big
this-
All Heart, Mr. Big Spiritual Treat. You got a better answer?
Even if he
That's
did,
what I thought.
you gotta ask yourself, will Wally listen? He seems too pig-headed into this scenario that this needs to happen, and it's the only way to stop it. And to his defense, it's slowing things down. They're holding things at
I
bay.
know.
But you can tell
Yeah.
from the villain side of it, it's not doing enough because they're still getting ahead. They're still fucking getting ahead and winning the war. And then you have this new clone Wally that's taken Barry's advice to heart, and not even coincidentally, doesn't have the full cowl. You can see the red hair, like the classic costume, and it's starting to feel like we've lost Wally at this point. Not even figuratively, but literally. It's a Where's Waldo situation. Like, which Wally is the original Wally, right? And apparently Barry
It's
gave
the one in the black suit.
We don't even know that because it got confused the
Yeah, we
fuck out
do.
of me because Barry gave
No,
a Wally a
he
ring.
gave the
that
copy.
was-
He gave the copy a ring.
Do we
the
know
copy
that was
was
the
the
copy?
one- Yeah.
Was that in the previous story arc?
Yes.
Oh fuck, I don't even remember that. God forbid I have to go back and reread that arc. Oh, fuck's sake.
It really isn't all as bad as y'all say.
No,
This
like,
one
the
spun
past
its
story-
wheels
the-
though,
the
because I feel
previous
like
story
we
arc
got
was
a
better.
repeat of the last issue.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just replaying the same shit as already
Eclipso's
did.
plan and the same issue from last one. That
Yeah.
was stupid.
But the point I was trying to make is that okay, it was the clone that got the ring. He's dead. He's just up and gone.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Eclipso ate him. Goodbye,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah. So that ring, gone. Right?
Yep, Flash's ring, Barry's ring, is gone forever.
It's gone. But
To our
so,
knowledge.
So this clone of Wally that's got the red hair showing, that's rebelling against everything that's happening,
Mhm.
that feels more like
Shard.
the Wally we know, right? Even though they're all Wally, they're
Mhm.
all supposed to be Wally, but Wally set up
They
this
are.
hierarchy of command within himself somehow. It's fucking crazy.
Mhm.
But like this Wally feels like the Wally that we've all come to know and love, and I wonder if that's the Wally that's going to continue living after this, and every other Wally's just going to straight up die. And that's giving me an existential crisis. I don't like that.
I
This-
don't want
this-
no. No. You're not allowed to say that.
What,
Regular Wally isn't dying.
Are they not all regular Wally?
No. There's one Wally in the black suit, and the rest of them are just Wally shards.
See, I like, yeah, and yes and no at the same time. It's like
No,
this story has gotten too
There-
Matrix Reloaded for my tastes now.
I'm so confused. How it's that confusing?
There's some cool.
He makes a bunch of
action.
copies of himself, right? Okay,
There's-
so he
there's
makes
some-
a bunch of copies
No,
of
I'm
himself.
not saying.
right?
Hang on. I'm not saying it's confusing. I'm saying it's gotten too Matrix Reloaded, where there's some cool action sequences, but it's just so full of itself in exposition and like just vis-a-vis ergo whatever. Just like, yeah, this is happening. This big giant thing, and it's happening because it needs to happen. It's like, fucking, I don't like it, but that's me. It's getting. What did you give it? Did you give it a 6?
9 out of 10.
Oh, you give it a 9 out of 10?
No, I gave it a 6.25
You get a 6.25. Okay. Yeah, I
Yep.
think I'm gonna give it
this
a,
week. Normally it's about an 8,
I'm gonna
close
give it
to
a
it.
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Mm. Yeah, this one also got a 6 for me. Like, I don't like Hush, but in a very different way. I don't really have anything else to say about this one without sounding like a broken record, except that I don't know. It's just become kind of exhausting to read, and it's
Well,
particularly
let's retire it.
frustrating too because the premise of the previous arc, being in Skartaris, was meant to break away from that long form arc that the first one was, which was 13 issues long. Like, I assumed that them going to Skartaris and having some kind of adventure with Eclipso would be done in a maximum of 6 issues. But here we are, issue 21 of I don't even know, and it's still all that same story. And it's not even interesting. So I have like no investment in this. Hello?
Hey, sorry.
Oh.
No, did you? Oh no, you did give your score. I was waiting for your score. That's why.
Oh yeah. No, I 6 out of 10. Yeah.
So yeah.
That was what I started with. So
Yeah, that's the Flash. When we hear a new creative team, I'll be the first to tell you.
there are
um,
rumors that it's coming sooner than we think, but
oh,
again,
thank
those are all
God.
rumors at this point. Some
Yeah,
people are saying it's at like 25 or something. I don't
issue
believe
25.
that
Oh,
that's
that
true.
is.
I don't, because if they've
Okay,
already
there we go.
invested 21 issues of this, it seems like they're going the long haul. Like, if they wanted to pull the plug on this run early, they would have done it after issue 13, or certainly after the end of the Skartaris thing, like
Yeah.
issue 18 or whatever. Because I'm
Yeah,
like,
this isn't going anywhere.
if they pulled the plug on Power Girl, and that wasn't even a book that I was reading that much anymore, but I'm like, clearly the run has to be selling to someone. Like, if we don't like it, someone does. Well, I mean, obviously I know Josh is, but I mean the people who are going out and buying this run, someone must be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Somebody's
So
enjoying
that's why I'm like,
Boy
I don't
on
know.
a
I
trip.
feel like that's just the kind of internet rumor. Because if this was going to come to an end, I don't know, the signs would be more apparent. Maybe they are. Maybe I just don't know. But
Well,
I
that
get.
that would put this story arc as 6 parts. If issue 25 was the last issue of Spurrier's run, um, and this does have like as as much as I don't like it, it does have a big story feel where it could feel like a conclusion.
Yeah. But what a waste of time. I mean,
Yeah,
again, I'm not like I don't want
25 issues, 3 story
to.
arcs.
Yeah, like I don't want to shit on this thing endlessly. It doesn't give me any joy to do that because I love the Flash.
Yeah,
Um, but it does kind of feel like a waste of time if you had this book for 25 issues and you did basically 2 story arcs. Really one, if we're being generous, but let's say 2 for the sake of this, and that the Speed Force pregnancy arc did technically end with issue 13 and was then continued into the next arc. But that whole thing came to an end. Like that whole arc angels, whatever that was.
mm,
Yep.
So in
This is
25 issues, you did 2 story arcs.
yeah.
That seems like a waste of time to me. But I don't know. Like I said, it's only a rumor now. There's really no way that can be confirmed until we get to the September solicits.
all right. Well, you guys feel like you're on year 100 of the Flash, but there's a year 1 book. Is there any chance You like this one anymore? Any better?
I'd say so. Yeah, I mean it's one of my favorite characters. But this is Mr. Terrific Year One,
He is awesome.
another
I love
installment
Mr.
in
T.
the iconic Year One saga, written by Al Letson, who's not familiar with. Art by Edwin Gallman and Valentin DeLandro. It's always a delight. Colors by Marissa Louise and letters from Lucas Gattoni. Mr. Miracle's investigation of a mysterious radiation takes him back to Gateway City as he revisits his early days following the death of his wife, Paula. Michael Holt, at this point in time, has sold off some of his technology to the nefarious Athena Prescott of Prescott Industries, whose new Nexus engine, according to his friend Dre, is causing problems in the local community. Holt remains despondent and uninterested in helping in the community until he gets a call from Dre one night asking him to pick him up in a hurry. Holt does so and learns that Dre and some comrades had broken into Prescott Industries in order to get proof of the Nexus engine's negative effects. As they arrive at a location, or they shortly arrive at a location outside of Gateway City, Dre reveals that he has evidence of the engine's effects, but is then shot by one of Prescott's enforcers, who I think is Cormorant of Batgirl, bleeding out in Holt's arms. And that's where our first issue comes to an end. Pretty faithful, so far at least. I didn't get the impression there was anything disruptive of Mr. Terrific's origins going all the way back to... God, is that JSA? Or the Dr. Midnight series? For the life of me, I can't remember where his first appearance was, but
I'm not sure.
I know
JSA, right?
it involved something with the Spectre. Anyway, it's staying pretty faithful to that, which is always cool to see. Like they're keeping their continuity in track. So props to them. But it's just a fun read. Like I don't know. It's not often that you get a reflection on Mr. Terrific's early days. It's like I don't know. It's like Blade. You never really read about the early days of Blade. It's usually Blade and whatever he's doing in the current day, fighting vampires or something. But like, it's rare if ever you get a flashback to the Tomb of Dracula era Blade. So it's nice to get a flashback that I don't know gives us a little bit more of an updated perspective. And this is one of those instances where a year one is actually appropriate. Like we're not doing the 50th version of a Batman origin story or Superman origin
Right.
story, and some of those are good. Don't get me wrong, but a good portion of them are unnecessary because, I mean, yeah, you can retell it through a different lens, but the basic concept stays the same. Whereas someone like Mr. Terrific, whose origin was pretty much only revealed in one issue, is getting the chance to have it fleshed out in 6 issues or 4 issues or however long this is. So I'm aside from that,
Aw.
like I was fully on board with this, but it's just really tightly written, interesting. Like it sets up the character status of Michael Holt at this point in time very well. He's naturally despondent after the death of his wife and is just kind of drifting through life, and it feels like his purpose is slowly going to be revealed to him shortly as the story progresses. So I'm really in it. Like it's nothing incredible, mind you, but it's just nice having that extra layer of origin for Mr. Terrific. So um, I didn't really have a lot of expectations for this one. I figured it would just be a fun read, and it is. But I'm like pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did because I love Mr. Terrific, and I didn't want them to do a big epic retcon of his origins, but I also wasn't expecting anything like enjoyable, super enjoyable, to be honest. So very easy 8.25 out of 10 for me. And artistically speaking, I've seen some of Valentin DeLandre's stuff on Bitch Planet and Black Manta. Usually it's pretty okay, but it was, I think, worked very well in this issue. Reminded me a
It
lot of Paul Azaceta, who is
it did,
very
and I feel
underrated,
like
my
they've
opinion.
gotten it did, and I feel like they've gotten better since Black Manta.
Yeah, I think Black Manta was maybe just not the right fit for him.
Maybe.
And I think this kind of story, because this is very much a more grounded Mr. Terrific, which makes sense given that This is, he's not serving with the JSA or anything like that yet. So it makes sense that this one is kind of not doing a bunch of crazy undersea stuff or anything like that. Like it is really just focused on a grounded setting. So I think that works better for his own style.
Agreed. Um, this isn't the kind of story that I expected from a Mr. Terrific book. I expected something very, I guess, immediately high techy, you know? Um, but I sure as hell am in. I like the art from both time periods, and I really like the direction of the story. I'm pleasantly happy with this one. I know all of the art team. Do I know who Al Lenson is, though? Has he done anything I'd know?
I was
I
just
think nothing
looking
but
him
those.
up. He's the fuck. Apparently, he's part of Absolute Flash.
What did you say, Brandon?
I said I hadn't seen him in anything before this.
Uh, anyway, you said Absolute Flash?
Well, that's the thing. He was listed on Absolute Flash.
Are you looking at League of Comic Geeks?
Yeah.
I assume it's because there's the
Oh, the
preview.
backup.
Yeah,
Yeah, the preview. Yeah.
yeah, they gotta
Um.
fix that because it's kind of misleading.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
it's like every. So basically, just Mr. Terrific year one,
I
and
really enjoyed this.
new talent showcase 2017 apparently as well.
Um, thought it was done wonderfully. I'm glad that when they brought up his kid and wife, it wasn't all super sad writing. It was something that happened and it carried weight, but it didn't steal the show. It let the story take the work. I think that was fantastic. I gave it an 8.25 out of 10. This was this was a this is well, Brandon pretty much said it. This is how you do a year one.
Yeah, this was a solid one. Sorry, I'm still looking up. Yeah, no, he was in New Talent Showcase 2017. Al Letson, but
Mm.
that's about it. At least on League of Comic Geeks, anyway. Uh, no, yeah, this was a surprise hit for me. This was pardon the pun, terrific. Um, yeah, year one stories honestly could be hit or miss. Like you said, Brandon, if they're important or not, and or if they have a purpose. This definitely has a purpose. I love that right away they're tying it into the ongoing story of All In. Um, so this fits in perfectly. I'm excited to see what's going to come out of this because it definitely feels like it's going to have some ramifications for the overall story of the universe. Perfect character for it to feature. Mr. Terrific has really taken a big step up in the DC universe recently, and I love that about him. He's always been an interesting character for me, and I love to see him in this kind of leadership role for really the Justice League Unlimited as a whole, really the whole hero community in a way. Uh, it's a perfect fit for him. It honestly is.
Mm.
He I think he led the Justice Society a couple times too, right? He was like the chairman or
Yes.
chairperson.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a perfect step up for him. Natural evolution of the character. I am all for it. What the hell did I give this? 8.5 out of 10 for a first issue. Really good stuff. And finally, speaking of the Justice League, we hit our last book of the week, Justice League Unlimited, number
7.
7. Fuck, it feels like it's been more at this point. It's chapter 5 of
Yeah.
the JLU World's Finest crossover. We Are Yesterday, written by Mark Wade with art from Travis Moore, colors from Tama Bonvillain, letters from Ariana Maher, and the cover from Dan Mora, which, not gonna lie, pretty cool. And I'm not just saying that because it's Dan Mora. It actually is kind of cool. Not gonna, I think so. Okay, I'm partially saying that because it's Dan Mora. Like, you can't look at a Dan Mora cover and not go, "Oh, that's cool." It's Dan fucking.
I mean, what it's doing, taking aim at the watchtower,
Yeah.
everybody doing it together. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So this story, this issue,
Part 5.
goes back to Grodd being the feature character, and just bear with me, folks, because there's some timey-wimey bullshit going on here, because we go back to the Legion of Doom on the Watchtower attacking the entire Justice League. There's 6 people with time lasers shooting various members of the Justice League and winning. the the entire fucking Justice League. We're talking like dozens of heroes on this satellite
Everybody.
fighting 6 people with time lasers, and the time lasers are winning. Okay, but that's besides
As
the
they
point. They get rid of everyone except for one, and that one is Elongated Man, as Grodd promised someone to play with. While talking with Elongated Man, they do their whole villain monologue thing and reveal that the heroes are not dead. Instead, they've just been lost to the time stream. But randomly, not even they know where, and they have absolutely no way of returning, because even though it is random, Grodd has made sure that there are time barriers set in place upon all the points that the heroes landed. And then they torture the shit out of Elongated Man, which really fucking sucks. Luthor points out that they have not yet seen Superman or Batman, so Grodd tells Sinestro, Scarecrow, Joker, and Manta to go find them and any remaining heroes, and that's where we end up in the last issue of the arc, back in Batman Superman World's Finest, where Superman and Batman fought those 4. Which I think, I'm very confused, and I think was the past versions.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would have been the past versions, because the present day versions were stuck in the past. We still don't know where they are. They don't show up in this issue. The So yeah, the past versions fought those guys and end up hit by a laser blast, but not before Scarecrow was taken down. We then see where the past versions of those heroes are. They're in Arabia in 14,000 BCE. And that's where you find out that there's a time force field across all these points. Superman can't escape it. Nobody can escape it. Uh, until Hal is stuck in Western Europe in 40,000 BCE with Thunderlord. And then he gets a very, very low, faint communique in his ring. Finds out that it's actually from Airwave, and that every member of the Justice League across time can hear it at the same time. He can see all of them at once. He can talk to all of them at once. He has no idea how, but he figures if he was part of the reason that they got sent there, as he reveals that he, was the power within the lasers that sent them back in time, maybe he can bring them back to the present day. So he tries that, doesn't quite get to where he wants them to go, even with the extra power boost. Doesn't quite work because Grodd at the same time had ended up in the part of the Watchtower where Darkseid had died, where a kind of Omega Rift had opened, wanting to absorb its power for himself. However, Airwave and Grodd are still connected, probably mentally, psychically. And as Grodd is absorbing the power, that power is then affecting Airwave at the same time. Grodd then explodes, and it's revealed that he is now holding the Omega abilities within him. But that is also when we see Airwave has appeared with members of the Justice League, but not just any members of the Justice League. He has Ultra, the alien human, alien. The fuck was his name?
Ultra the multi.
Ultra
the multi-human. Yeah.
Multi-alien.
Multi-alien. Sorry. Ultra the multi-alien. Jonah Hex, 90s Aquaman with the hook hand, Batman Beyond, Abin Sur Green Lantern, Batman from Zero
Dark
Year,
Dark
and
Detective.
oh, it's not Dark Detective because Dark Detective had the spray paint on the as the emblem.
Ah, yes. Okay.
And a Robin, which I think, based off context clues of the costume, might be Jason Todd. And that's it. None of the members of the Justice League he wanted to return with him returned, but he got these people, which is a hell of a crew. But personally, I don't think is enough to take down an Omega powered Gorilla Grodd and Legion of Doom at the same time. But there's one more part to see. That's to be concluded next month in Justice League
Let's
Unlimited
play
number
Count the
8.
Humans.
We will see what happens and hopefully get an inkling of what the point of this entire fucking crossover was. All right, so my gripe the last time we talked about this crossover was that it didn't really feel like a crossover. It felt like a really big story arc that had some tie-ins, and depending on what issue we're reading, had a different focal point character. And we finally get back to Gorilla Grodd, which I think was always supposed to be the focal point character, but there was an issue or two in the entire arc that didn't even have him in it. And it felt kind of sloppy and all over the place at times. This gets us, I want to say, back on track with the story, but it also kind of picks up right in the middle and doesn't do a good job of explaining to you that you are in the middle of what happened last issue. It was really fucking weird. I was about ready to throw hands about stuff about like, what do you mean you haven't found Batman and
Arr.
Superman? You fought him last issue, and then we, okay, wait a minute. I don't hate the direction it's gone. Omega Grodd is an interesting turn of events, and the
Excuse me, that's a broadside.
Grodd's Grodd size not bad. And the team that Airwave has accidentally assembled is quite an interesting team. Um, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with this team, but I think personally that's going to be some bullshit. But that's just me. Um, it's going to be some fucking plot armor nonsense, but whatever. I'm just happy to see Terry McGinnis. That's and Hook Hand Aquaman. I'm happy to see those two. But I'm gonna give this issue an 8. I didn't hate it. Kind of gets itself back on track in part 5 of 6. So now we just have the end to go. Yeah,
Indeed.
and the art was good. I like the art.
Mm.
What did you think, Mr. Brand?
I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10. I definitely hear where you're coming from. And I'm interested, but yeah, I'm also kind of wondering what is the point? Because for as much as I was at least interested in the premise of Grodd, bringing this past Legion to the present, the Omega sort of twist is, I'm not really sure how to feel about that. It kind of just feels like things are sliding off the rails. Um,
Like too big just to be big?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
But at the
point.
very least, it is an exciting cliffhanger. So that it keeps me invested in what will happen next month. I don't want it to completely like lose itself in the insanity. um,
To be honest, I think it already has, but
yeah, but but yeah, the last page reveal of this new Justice League. I'm looking at that page again, and I think the Batman that you're referring to, I'm almost certain that's from Zero Year. I can't speak for the Robin, but
Yeah.
based on the haircut, yeah, that seems to be Jason Todd. Just in a costume I've never seen before. Um, but yeah, very interesting lineup. What with Airwave going through time and racking up a bunch of different members of the Justice League, it does of course beg the question: how is that possible? Considering Zero Year shouldn't have happened, but also it did. We shouldn't get into
Because
that.
everything
But,
matters, except when it don't. Don't you
yeah,
remember the golden rule of Infinite Frontier?
sure. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's very
I mean,
confusing. But
like Hook Hand Aquaman shouldn't have happened either. And technically, Batman Beyond is from another universe
yeah.
at this point.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing that's oftentimes confusing. Although I guess I was gonna say it's similar to the Legion of Superheroes, which should be just from a timeline in the future, but then that was changed to basically be different alternate futures from different planets, or sorry, different universes. It's you try and make sense of Legion of Three Worlds, but
No,
I
I
don't
will
know.
not try.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I just yeah, I guess I feel like I won't really get a sense of it until the final issue. That's about where I'm at.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Josh, did you give your notes?
Um, I'm confused as to why Batman and Robin and Superman have been tossed through time by the Legion of Doom, but then the Legion of Doom are looking for them because they hadn't seen them yet.
That's what I was confused about too, and that was my gripe that this issue didn't do a good job of explaining that the first half of the issue, when the Legion of Doom were on the satellite lasering all the heroes, took place before last issue of World's Finest, and then anything that happened after that took place after the issue.
Well, that was dumb.
Yeah,
And these characters, I mean, how does this work? 'Cause, yeah, everybody has like a replacement, but I wouldn't even call them parallels. I mean, Hal turns into Abin Sur, sure, but where the hell does Terry and Jonah Hex come from? I mean, it went from this story has gone from bad to good to odd to weird to good to what to this issue, which to me was, I mean, pretty decent until this weird ass collection of people as the Justice League United's got me scratching my head.
yeah.
Ultra, 90s Aquaman. I mean, weird, but we'll see what happens with this odd, mostly human group of against Grodside. Or is it Grodside or is you said Omega Grodd? What if it's
Omega Grove.
Omega?
Oh my god, you're onto something.
Omega Grodside.
Omega Grove.
Nah, I'm not all that sold here right now. The art is, of course, good. It's great. I read this book and I feel like I always just forget that to mention the art. That's not a mystery at all. It's always great here. It's it's not bad. It could be better. It could be a lot better. I feel like they could write it better.
Yeah.
But anyway, 7 out of 10.
Like any other story arc, I'd be so hyped for this team of heroes to show up.
Mm.
Because it's a really cool team. But up against the
Weird team,
powerhouses
yeah.
they're going up against, it just feels a little underpowered. You got two
Yeah, just a little
Batmans,
bit.
a Robin with anger issues, a Fish King with a hook hand, a guy with a pistol, and then two fucking aliens with lots of power, but not enough to take on the entire Legion of Doom and Omegarod. Feels a little one-sided here.
Somebody a lot less powerful than Darkseid fucking took him out last time.
Yeah.
um. Well,
That about does it. It's time for top
and
three.
there
Favorite
she
moment
be.
and favorite cover. What am I gonna do? I'll go first. All right, my number 3 is going to be Mr. Terrific Year 1. With my number 2 is going to be Superman, and my number 1 is going to be Green Arrow. That's a fucking fantastic issue. My favorite moment is going to be in Green Lantern, however, uh, where Connor was working on the warp engine, and when just whatever he said to Kyle just made me think of Dr. McCoy, and just thinking this would be a perfect Star Trek crew. Dan is Spock,
Oh God,
you know. Kyle is Kirk.
I'm
Connor's
I'm
easily
definitely
Bones.
I'm definitely a bigger comic nerd than I am a Star Trek nerd, because the second you say Dr. McCoy, I do not go to Star Trek. I
You
go
think of
to
Hank.
Hank.
Yeah, I hear
Yep.
you. I hear you.
I do it every damn time. I have to wait a second to figure out which one it is, because like I want to talk about Beast, man.
Yeah. It's just like, damn it, Kyle. I'm a superhero, not a cosmic scientist.
Right?
Yeah, that's all I can think of. And it is in my head because it definitely wasn't that, but like made me giggle.
Yep.
I liked it.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my top 3: Green Arrow, Mr. Terrific, and then Green Lantern. I guess my favorite moment is going to be that page where, clad in armor, Hal rushes up to fight the Spectre.
That was cool.
Ooh, I'm on a hell of an echo. But yeah, that was a really, really, really cool one. For sure.
Wait, what do you
What
got?
did you? Oh, we're not doing covers, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh, we're doing it now.
You can just. I'm waiting on Brandon's top 3 and favorite moment.
Sure.
Then we'll do
Third place I gave to Green Lantern. Second place, Mr. Terrific. But first was Green Arrow. Very easy decision there. And the my favorite moment of this week. I mean, for as much as I'd love to give it to Hal's moment with the Spectre and Green Lantern, I just felt so satisfied with the way Green Arrow ended. I have to give it to the last page where Ollie's just surrounded by his family. Like that was just a perfect send off.
Yeah.
That could have been the end of the book, and I would have been like, "This is perfect." But
Yeah.
I'm glad there's still more to come.
100.
Right on. Well, all right. Now, how about our favorite cover?
Green Arrow.
He says, without a doubt, we do got some good ones.
Yeah.
Justice League Unlimited. I really like Mr. Terrific.
Are you clicking through them because it's not on screen?
It's not on screen?
No,
Why not?
I don't know. It's your computer. There we go. It's gone now. Now
Yeah.
it's just the three of us.
Well, that's your fault.
I did.
You did
I
this.
did nothing. I'm not even touching my computer right now. You had it for a second and then it disappeared. There we go.
All right. Yeah, Justice League Unlimited.
That's a good one.
Mr. Terrific.
That's a really cool one too.
Bad art.
No.
Deodato's
I mean-
Flash.
I'm not gonna lie, the layout is interesting, but they look too angry.
Everything
look like
looks
monsters.
fucked up. It's like, are we good
Like
brains?
they exactly.
then,
They look like fucking
Like
zombies.
spaghetti lightning, and like, why are their boots 7 feet wide? None of that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Deodato, you so crazy, you silly bastard. Green Lantern, that's a pretty damn good one, dude. I'm not a fan of something big and eye-catching when it comes to text on a cover, and I don't even care about that. This looks awesome.
Yeah, actually, yeah, this Zermanico, that is a gorgeous fucking cover.
Hmm. Green Arrow,
Mm.
sucker for the white space, and this was
Yeah, speaks volumes.
absolutely used perfectly, 100%.
And then we have this abomination.
And then there's Superman and
That one is actually
his
really fucking cool.
lightning skin, the red kryptonite bursting out of his body, which does also look really cool.
Yeah.
So there's, I mean, really, all covers this week were really good. Superman, Green Arrow, Green Lantern. Not the Flash. The Flash was a shitty one. Terrific. Hell yeah. Justice
Yeah.
League United. It's
Aren't
too
you?
bad those are the only ones that
Aren't
were.
you for forgetting one?
No.
No. Okay.
You're talking about this one that I could flush? Yeah, no, that one I'm not interested in. All right, Brandon, what was your favorite cover this week?
Um, well, I'm guessing Rob's probably gonna go with Green Arrow, so
I might
Pick
change
your
my-
favorite. Don't worry about what he's
Yeah,
picking.
I might change my
But
answer anyway.
I mean, going through them again, I probably would say Superman. It is an incredibly dynamic cover.
It is.
It it really, really is. Who did this? Is this Barrows or Barrows?
That's Dan
Excuse me.
Mora.
Oh, that's Mora. Okay, all right. I still don't see the damn signature. Oh, right there. Jesus, he's circled it and everything.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like a bonehead. All right, Rob. Brandon's going with Superman, and are you still sticking with Green Arrow?
I might just Green Lantern and Superman are with Green Arrow top three easily.
Mhm.
But I'm a sucker for stories or covers that tell a story, and this one tells a story that speaks volumes with such little space used. It's brilliant use of negative space. Um, like I said, tells all the story you need to know um, in this one cover. It's fucking fantastic.
I spent an embarrassing probably 3 minutes sitting here when I got this, trying to see if there was something that was written in the snow. See if I could make out something. Is there something like going
Right.
between the drips and the empty space? But I landed at no. But yeah, embarrassingly, like 3 minutes of sitting there looking for something. I'm a dork.
Who was
Anyway,
it that
all
did
right.
cover?
So, what's that?
This wasn't Montos as well, was it? Who did this cover?
Torrin Clark.
Torrin Clark. It's fan fucking tastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
All right, Josh, your turn.
Not that. That is really good. I really like the Mr. Terrific one. I like both that you guys chose. Dan Mora's is awesome as always, but yeah, Green Lantern. I'm sorry. There's just hands down. I fucking love that. That looks so good. Like, look at his mask here.
Yeah.
They gave his nose flare so that, like, if his nostrils flared, there was room.
Yeah.
Every single fucking brush stroke was thought out here. Love this shit.
It is gorgeous.
Absolutely is. Just as one would hope.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, folks. That about does it for us. We're coming in under 3 hours for 7 books. I think that's pretty good.
That's not too shabby, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, so stay
Almost
tuned.
like we
Not tonight.
finally got it.
But over the next couple of days, keep an ear out for our absolute wrap up for the month, where we have all 6 books to talk about, and there's some really exciting stuff happening in those 6 books. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. We will be live streaming it as we do every week, as well as the podcast coming out shortly after. So yeah, Josh, you want to take us out?
You can do that. Where you want to go? Just kidding. I'm low on gas, and you need a jacket.
Waffle
Thanks everybody
House.
for watching. We'll be back next week covering all of DC's weekly releases. Same geek time, same geek channel, and that is the show. We're getting out of here, so you'll have to as well. Be careful out there, and remember, in the Geek Matrix, everybody has a home. In the Geek Matrix, you are not alone.
Peace.
See ya.